$30 million. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski decided he will continue to call the offensive plays. Browns failed to score a touchdown during Sunday's loss at Pittsburgh. The Browns offense has gone 11 straight games without scoring more than 17 points. Monday Night Football is heard right here on 92.3 The Fan. The Atlanta Falcons playing host to the Buffalo Bills. Atlanta running back Bijan Robinson busted out against Buffalo.
Bijan Robinson, the carry over the right side, has a hold to the 25, down the sideline to the 30, across the 40, breaks a tackle at midfield. Bijan Robinson, he's going to go all the way down the right sideline for a touchdown. 81 yards.
Courtesy NFL, Westwood won. Atlanta wins at 24-14. Robinson matched a career-high 170 yards rushing. The Bears knock off Washington 25-24. Jake Moody wins it. 38-yard field goal as time expired. Baseball playoffs, American League Championship Series. Seattle beats up on Toronto 10-3. The Mariners lead that series 2 games done in the National League. Dodgers get by Milwaukee 2-1. LA leads that series 1 game to none. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
You can't tell me that defense doesn't resent that offense.
Well, and they also...
Because you have no hope. It was first and goal from the 3. You don't have hope. It's been 11 straight games. How many's it been under 18 points? They gave that number yesterday, too. We were trying to shoot for 20. That's too much. Now we're trying to shoot for 18.
The goal offensively is to contribute, to score points, to help this football team. We got to focus on all the little things that go about that, but it doesn't get too far away from just simply doing your job, doing what's asked of you, and I'm talking all of us, players, coaches, you name it.
The offense is dead. You're starting to get the groans and the anger from the defense here. It has begun. I'm worked up and angry right now because I don't have anything new to say after this game that I did the last game. Every day is exactly the same. And I asked you last week, we may have died years ago and are in hell and we don't even know it because we're talking about the same thing every day. And we're looking for the same people every day. And they ain't walking through the door every day. It doesn't change. The same sentences come out of my mouth every morning.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Danny Cunningham in for Tone. Hello, Danny.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's good to see you.
It's great to see you.
I don't remember saying much of that yesterday.
That's a new sentence that came out of your mouth. Good morning, Danny.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's Danny Cunningham in for Anthony Lima today.
Welcome to hell.
Thank you. This is the happiest you've been all week. I listened yesterday.
Yeah, welcome in.
I'm glad someone can put a smile on your face because I know there wasn't one yesterday.
No, there couldn't have been. I was happy. We went to the parade yesterday in Little Italy. It was a hoot. That put a smile on my face, seeing a lot of listeners and viewers and all the other stuff. That was awesome. Saw Eddie in Mayfield. He was great. Him and his buddy. Saw some really nice folks, and that made the day a lot better. But the morning,
Columbus Day Parade. We're back, baby. We're back.
Oh, you aren't gonna finish the rest of them? You can do whatever you want.
Columbus Day. We're back. Columbus Day. We're back, Italians.
216-474-0092. Yeah, it was a nice occasion to see everybody, and it was nice too. But again, and I still say the thing. So I did Woolly Bear 2 weeks ago. That was awesome.
Big festival.
And then I did the Columbus Day yesterday, and I remarked at both occasions to people. I go, if the Browns get good, I don't know if people are going to have an icebreaker with me. Because there's so many people who come up and they go, hey, how about the Browns, huh? Ken, what are we going to do about this coach? Ken, did you see Baker? Ken. It's all Browns related. If the Browns do well, I don't know what the icebreaker is.
No, it's still, how about those Browns? It's just with a different tone. It's the same question. It's just asked with a different tone.
I guess you're right, but I haven't really experienced it. We've had a little bit, but...
You got... Because I got Super Bowl Super Browns whenever they're decent. People are saying it in a fun and loving sort of way.
I had a couple people say it in a fun and loving way yesterday, but it was in jest.
Yeah.
It was definitely in jest. I think Kevin Stefanski was defended yesterday by Mike Tomlin. Here is Mike Tomlin. This came out of what seemed to be left field. This was one of the things that people were talking about over in Little Italy yesterday, going, "Did you see this? Did you see this? They did this over here." And I'm like, "What?" I watched the video and went, "Oh boy." Here is Mike Tomlin yesterday and his press availability. Now they're getting ready to play the Bengals themselves, which some people have called it the Unk Bowl. Combined ages of the quarterbacks is 81 years old. Here's Mike Tomlin yesterday on Andrew Berry trading Joe Flacco.
To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
So that was surprising.
I didn't believe it at first.
I thought it was an AI video.
I did. Well, I saw it from a reporter that covers the Steelers that I did not recognize. Yeah. I saw a reporter that I did not recognize that covers the Steelers. I clicked on his profile, and a lot of people that I follow this guy. I'm like, like maybe this guy's legit. And then I saw the video. I'm like, I still don't know that I believe that. And then I went to a Steelers reporter that I followed for a long time. I'm like, oh, this is like he actually said this. I had to go through three different sources before I believed that Mike Tomlin said this.
You guys don't want this AI. This is what sucks, is I have to double and triple check every single statement said.
I cannot stand it.
And some of the stuff is funny, like the one website that does the mashups and the fake press conferences, like when they had Jerry Jones firing Mike McCarthy last year, and he was talking about it, and he's like, tough bleep said the kitty, but the milk kept coming, and he's talking about Salisbury steak. That was hilarious. I'm going to show you that during a break. It's amazing. If you guys can find that on the interview and you want to, or on the internet and want to laugh, you guys go ahead and do that. That one's funny. But I don't like double and triple checking anything. I just want to make sure. Like the Kevin Grandier account, which is a famous fake account. Guys, please, Facebook friends, aunts, uncles, it's not real. He was not fired. Kevin Stefanski was not fired. He was not fired. I laugh, and then I'm like seeing like, according to this guy, Kevin Stefanski's fired. I'm like, no, he's not been fired. That's a fake account that gets all of us. No, it looks close. It looks like a person who would cover sports. The picture is right there, but no, it's not a real account. And so I got to keep going through this because of all the AI stuff that's out there. And especially, and that's not even the best of it. It's the other non-sports stuff. Like, guys, Jelly Roll is not singing at kids' funerals. It didn't happen. It did not happen. LeBron James did not see a custodian and give him $50 million and they cried together. That is not real. Tell your grandmother it's not a real thing. I'm sure both guys have done philanthropic things in their lives, but none of that is real. It's not real.
It's a shame that we have to double and triple check things.
God.
And with the Tomlin video, the thing that actually made me believe it was real is that there wasn't profanity in it. Because you bring up that Jerry Jones video, I'm like, the Tomlin thing, you can kind of, I think, talk yourself into thinking it sounds like AI. But all of those videos have profanity, and Tomlin didn't. And that was the one thing I'm like, this actually is real.
It didn't have profanity.
Like that is
now you're just giving them ideas. So there's we got to make it more real. So we got to take out the cussing.
Hear it again, just so you know.
Yeah, let's get here's Mike again on the just the quip on Andrew Berry and trading away Joe Flacco.
To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
So he's not wrong. And you said there's one tack to it where they got to play each other this weekend. Right, so he's probably a little annoyed by that.
I think part of this is Mike Tomlin defending Kevin Stefanski. Mm-hmm. I think that is part of it. But I think the other part of it is, if you are Mike Tomlin and you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, who would you rather face on a short week? Would you rather face Jake Browning or would you rather face Joe Flacco? Now, we all know Joe Flacco is not now
Jake Browning,
what Joe Flacco once was, but Jake Browning's the answer there. And I think that this is a guy that is annoyed that a team that is going nowhere is making his life more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah, that's understandable. I do think, though, that he and Kevin have respect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he was defending Kevin in his own way because he knows that Kevin isn't going to. Kevin was asked about this quip because he went on to do his press conference later on in the afternoon. Kevin was asked about it. Here's Daryl asking Kevin about Mike Tomlin's comments.
Mike Tomlin had some comments today in which he basically said he doesn't understand why the Browns traded their opening day starter and Joe Flacco to a division rival in the Bengals. Your thoughts on what he had to say about that and the fact that he was so taken aback, just like you acknowledged last week, you were a little surprised as well in not anticipating that you guys would trade Joe this season.
Yeah, I don't have a comment on that, Daryl.
And there's the answer on that. So he's not going to get into it because he doesn't get into anything. But
what he could have done there is he could have defended Andrew Berry and he didn't. And this whole process of trading Joe Flacco, he could have defended Andrew Berry and he has not. Like this, I think, is a significant sign of a fracture there.
He's not going to say anything.
I mean, yes, but he didn't have to say anything, but he could have defended Andrew Berry.
Significant sign of a fracture. All right, let's do common sense here.
I don't think these two are aligned in the same way they have in the past.
Well, they're thought partners, but Lyman and I are technically thought partners too, and we get mad at each other every day, multiple times a day. Owen's a thought partner. We get mad at each other every day. But that's different. I mean, this is serious business over here, even though it's an entertainment business for them. If you are Kevin Stefanski, guys, we got to think of this through common sense. How would you feel? What's your job as a head coach, Danny?
Win as many football games as you can.
Win as many games as you possibly can. And I know that they could sit here and say this, that, and the other. Football's different. I know that there's been guys like Don Nelson that have participated in tanks and things like that before in the NBA. I get that. But when it comes to football, there's a week between the games. The season feels like it takes forever. Like you got a week between it, and now it's like, man, we're counting it down. 11 games left to go. And it can't go any quicker. And there's only one guy left to look forward to. And now we have to talk about whether or not you'd move on from him, because there was a interesting tidbit thrown out of there by one of my media brethren that I just want to kind of kick around for Danny and everybody. But either way, I think that I do firmly believe that this is Mike Tomlin in his own way defending Kevin Stefanski. If you work through it just how you would feel if you're a head coach, you've done all this, you decided on Joe Flacco, and then a couple of weeks later, basically, he's gone. He's gone. And you say that you're surprised. The first thing you said is you were surprised, and then I understood that he kind of walked it back a little bit and said, well, you're surprised anytime these calls are made because you didn't think that the Bengals would be calling you for a quarterback and this, that, and the other, and not all that crap. And I know he went on his coach's show on Thursday, and he tried to explain it away again a little bit. He doesn't say much anyway, and he still didn't even say much with the explanations. Guys, just go with how you would feel. Just go with how you would feel. You would be upset.
Absolutely.
I'd be upset.
Absolutely, because you feel like your job is being made more difficult, a job that's already impossible this year as is with this roster.
Because, guys, clearly, we have to understand this. Clearly, you have a guy who only trusted the veteran, really only trusted the veteran. You had one of the most conservative game plans, and he's a conservative offensive guy. You had one of the most conservative game plans I think I've ever seen you roll out there with Dylan Gabriel. Then you opened up the offense, quote unquote, opened up the offense, even though what was the air yards? What was the yards per attempt? What was the yards per completion?
4.
It was like 4. So I know he dropped back 58 times, which is just ridiculous. He dropped back 58 times. I mean, when you're throwing 4 yards a pass, you're still being ultra conservative. So there's definitely a parachute. Think what you want to about Joe Flacco. There's definitely a parachute feeling with Kevin where in case this doesn't go well, I can try to go back with Joe, and Joe knows how to conduct the offense. That's why this all started. And I think the more I talk about this, now this is probably just me vomiting my own thoughts here. Kevin said he was surprised. Mike Tomlin said what he just said. I think that Mike Tomlin was in his own way defending Kevin Stefanski and thinking that what's going on over there is ridiculous. But you go back to it. Kenny Pickett was your guy. Now you're handcuffed where you got 2 pups there and you didn't know. Because remember, Kenny was the first guy that they picked up. And Kenny was the one texting guys on the night of the draft. Backups just don't do that.
Right.
Guys who intend to start do that. So now if you're Kevin, the guy you intended to start was jettisoned for a 5th-round pick, and then the guy you had to start because you jettisoned the guy because he had a hamstring injury, the guy that you decided to start because he's the veteran hand, the guy you decided to start has also been jettisoned for a 5th-round pick. And so now you have to go, you're forced to go with the pups. And because Dylan Gabriel looks like he's in over his head after one game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where a lot of people, and rightfully so, are doing the film breakdowns, and there's every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the world. I don't need, no offense to Coach Lance, love Coach Lance. It's not just Coach Lance who's seeing it. There's plenty of fans going back and watching the film going, what is this? Why is David Njoku just by himself? Why is Quinshon Judkins wide open underneath? That's an easy completion for a first down. Dylan, what are you not seeing? Oh, wait a minute. I know we don't want to say it, but it's true. There wasn't even pressure in the A-gap in a couple of these, and he wasn't seeing the field.
Yes. It's not as if Kevin Stefanski forgot how to scheme guys open, because that has been a constant throughout his entire tenure in Cleveland. It's Dylan Gabriel's not ready for this. Shedeur Sanders probably not ready for this. There's not a quarterback on the roster that's ready for this. And Kevin Stefanski and the Browns have been put in a really bad spot. And my position on Stefanski as a coach has changed a little bit over the recent weeks in Cleveland, just how this season has gone. Mm-hmm. But it is really difficult for me to look at the hand that he has been dealt. And I would imagine he's not been pounding the table to trade away these guys that he wants to play.
True.
It's hard for me to look at this and say, yes, he's being set up to be in a successful position.
216-474-0092. All right, 643. We always knew we'd be in this position. However, the city had to do what they could to make themselves look good to the general public, and I'll tell you why coming up at 643. Coming up next, I want your thoughts on this. And, Danny, I have a very pointed question about these two guys. And if you had to pick one side, which side would you pick? Where you have to keep one. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, except it's Danny in for Tone live. Danny Cunningham, I should say. He's got a last name too, but I talk to Danny all the time, so I just call him Danny. He's a wonderful man and thorough. It's Danny Cunningham in for Tone this morning on The Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for Daisy Dips. Get the ranch dip.
play clean football on offense, defense, and special teams. Just can't do it on the road versus a good football team. We got to get it fixed. Can't do those things and expect to go on the road and win. And before you start winning, you got to stop losing.
The Kevin Stefanski Show, Thursday night at 7.
Your home for Browns football, 92.3 The Fan.
Sometimes you spin the wheel and it just pops out.
I love it. The Neutral Zone with Rat Boy and the Hog, even though Rat Boy isn't here. We'll do that at 8:45 this morning. Also, John Greco going to join us on the show. Might need to ask John to start over at left tackle this coming Sunday. We'll talk to him about that. And yes, I do think that if they lose to the Dolphins on Sunday, I think that Kevin Stefanski's job in season is a big-time conversation. I'll explain why coming up in a little bit. Danny Cunningham joining us in for Anthony Lima. I know you want to say something. We'll get to that. I promise. All right? That's something to come up later. Also, at 7 o'clock, he's going to play for the Browns this year. Or, excuse me, he's going to play in the NFL this year. And when he does, I want to play him for the Cleveland Browns. I'm not accepting any balderdash out there. Because I got a weird text yesterday from a friend of mine who works at WFAN, and I'm going, okay, well, this is out of left field. And then I saw a bit of audio on the internet, and I go, okay, I know why I was texted. So we'll get to that coming up here at 7 o'clock. 216-474-0092. You know, there's a lot going on. We're on YouTube right now, a lot going on in the chat, a lot of arguments. And I did see something, before I get to the phones here, Browns rally possum. And Twitter reactions brought to you by Schaub & Jewelry. Social media reactions brought to you by Schaub & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. I'm sorry. Old habits die hard. And he says, Dear Kevin Stefanski, say something. You represent our team and our fans. Stand for us. Speak from your chest, especially when the coach from Pittsburgh takes shots at our organization. Stand up and be a leader for once and say something. Sincerely, the fans. What if he agrees with him?
That's the thing. What is Kevin going to say about a guy that's truthfully defending him?
Is
what is happening here. Mike Tomlin is defending Kevin Stefanski with these comments.
Now, social media is social media. There's no room for any sort of dialogue, really, and I don't know what the tenor was of the tweet. But you could also say, well, if you agreed with him, then go ahead and say what you did. He's not going to do that.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. And I think that every man out there thinks about this emotionally and how they would stand for it. I think in his eyes, he's still got a team that he has to try to lead, whatever that may be. And we may find out afterwards, but we're not going to find out during the year. Even though the cracks are starting to show with several organizations. Some of the things that are said, Tua, we got to play those comments again later on today, where Tua was taking shots at his own teammates after their loss to the Chargers on Sunday, talking about how they're not coming to meetings and they're showing up late for things. And that's what a guy's got to do. And I think at some point you reach your boiling point. And I think that a lot of fans are like, okay, well, and I'm implying something that this person might not even be trying to imply. But I think that's either A, take a shot at him because it's Pittsburgh talking against Cleveland, or B, and this might be more likely because I'm just trying to think of it logically, if you disagree with what Andrew's done, speak up and say something for yourself.
Right, but you're not going to do that as Kevin Stefanski.
Because then you have that many more questions you have to answer that you don't want to answer.
It becomes a much messier situation because this situation has gotten very messy. I think it's fair to say. Nobody's happy in that building right now. Nobody should be happy. Nobody that watches this team is happy about it. No. And I think doing that just adds more fuel to that fire, which if you're Kevin Stefanski, that's the last thing you want to do because he doesn't want to be dealing with any of this, I would imagine, right? I would imagine that he had a vision for this season that is much different than what has happened through the first 6 games. So he doesn't want to add more fuel to that fire to make his situation worse. And the way he could have done that is by saying, you know what? Mike is right. I don't understand what Andrew Berry has been thinking all year. After the draft, I don't get what Andrew Berry has done. Could he be right about that? Could he be be how he feels?
Do you
Maybe,
want
but
him
he's not.
to do that?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I don't. But if you are asking for him to come up and say something, that's what he'd say. And he's not going to do that. He shouldn't do that. But I would bet that's how he feels.
The only thing I could think of is if he feels that way, if he's truly, and I think he was surprised, and I think that when Mike Tomlin says what he says, let's get the Mike Tomlin audio in one more time. Someone just got it in the car. This is yesterday morning, Mike Tomlin in his initial press conference with the media getting ready for the post game of what happened with the Browns and then getting ready for the Cincinnati Bengals.
To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
Now, if he flat out agreed with Mike Tomlin and decided to go scorched earth on it, he better know, if we're going to play this game, he better know that his team feels the exact same way. He better understand.
Well, yes. Let me just play real quick. People forget we had press conferences last week. This is Kevin Stefanski last Wednesday. Flacco was traded on Tuesday. Wednesday, after the trade, his first time to speak, this was him. He brought up that the Bengals called them, and this is what he said about Andrew Berry.
AB makes those decisions. I trust AB. We talk about every decision we make. They wanted Joe. They made the phone call. Obviously, it gives Joe an opportunity to go play again, but I trust in our decisions.
What's he going to come out and say on Sunday different? Is he going to walk up to the podium and go, you see, Andrew, did you see what happened when you traded away the quarterback who he wasn't going to start anyway?
He's also saying in that clip that he didn't make this decision, and so it's on Andrew. Right. He's definitely putting that on Andrew. So Mike Tomlin is sitting there saying, hey, Andrew Berry must be smarter than all of us because I don't know why you would do that, trying to think through it. Now, there's plenty of people out there that probably don't think very much of what Joe Flacco has left in the tank. We'll see. But still, if you wanted to say something, say that he traded Joe without your knowledge, or you just didn't want to trade Joe and he still made the move. You better make sure the team around you feels the exact same way, and you guys can get in the foxhole together. I mean, that would be Jim Fossil pushing all the chips in type of moves there, because when you say something like that, you are not just forcing yourself to answer more questions. You're forcing everybody on your team in media to answer questions. So now Jerry Jeudy and his media availability has to answer it. And your current quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, would have to answer it. And everybody else would have to answer it. And you're trying to, the more you talk about it, the more you see it's probably not the best idea to say anything right now, because it's like, okay, you clearly don't have trust in Dylan Gabriel then to throw if you're that upset that Joe Flacco's been taken out. You have to at least feign confidence in Dylan Gabriel to try to move this thing forward.
Well, and if you say something like that, you damn sure better start winning, and you better start winning right away, because if you say something like that and then you go out and lose to the Dolphins on Sunday at 1-6, you're gone. Like, you are not coaching another game. And if he loses on Sunday, maybe he's fired, maybe he's not. I don't know. We can get to that at a certain point. But if you make those type of comments that very clearly show that there are cracks in the foundation, you better be the one that can stitch that back together. Right. Because if you don't win, then you're gone. Because that shows, okay, not in agreement with the general manager here. The general manager probably going to be in the owner's ear saying, we got to get rid of this guy, right? Like, that is going to be the thing that happens. So if you do that, and I think Kevin's job is already on the line, but it turns that heat up to 10.
216-474-0092. Troy in Brook Park, new home of the Browns. More on that coming up at 6:43. Hello, Troy.
Hey, good morning, y'all.
Hi. Go ahead, Troy.
Hey, first off, I want to say that Mr. Stefanski, his time's well overdue. He can't go against the grain. He can't be the bad student in the classroom, or if not, his job's axed. And quite frankly, we all know that it probably should have been axed last year with our performance there. And as far as Mr. Tomlin said, like, he's got class. He's probably a highly educated. He seems like he's a great person, and he would never probably dog a colleague because that'll just take the credibility from him. So, I don't know. At the end of the day,
if Tomlin, stay with me for a second here, Troy. If Tomlin didn't respect him, I just don't think Tomlin would say anything about him. I would say anything about this. Yeah, I don't think he'd say anything about the situation. I mean, Tomlin is. Certain guys do it in a certain way, like. When Kevin goes out there and does the media, it's very Belichickian. He's going to say everything as short as possible, as blandly as possible.
Or say nothing at all. Or just say absolutely nothing. I'll just give us a bunch of BS that we hear every freaking Monday morning.
But Tomlin goes out there and dominates the microphone and tries to answer questions before they're asked. Or gives answers before the questions are even asked. So he's done it for a long time. He knows exactly what he wants to say in front of a microphone at any time. If he's been caught on the mic, it's been a long time since it's happened. So he knew what he was saying when he said that. That's why I firmly believe that Mike Tomlin might be looking at this situation going, what would I do? I think he's thinking I'd be pretty mad at Andrew Berry over this or mad at this situation.
Yeah, but in that scenario, you can't go against the grain because then you might be the next one to go. And quite frankly, we all know that we all have feelings about Mr. Stefanski. I thought for sure he was gone Monday morning at lunchtime.
Really?
And he wasn't.
See, I don't think they would seriously consider Troy. And thank you very much for the call. I don't think that he would. I'm sorry, Danny. I just don't think that will. If they lose to Miami on Sunday, I think it's a conversation or on the bye week. I don't think that they're thinking about it right now.
I didn't think Kevin was going to get fired Monday, but Monday was the first time where it was, you know what, if Schefter or Rappaport tweeted the Browns have fired Kevin Stefanski, I wouldn't be stunned. That was the first time I had ever thought that in 6 years. Was after this past game on Sunday in Pittsburgh, especially the way it has ended for so many other Browns coaches. How many times have we seen the Browns go to Pittsburgh and come back without a head coach? I'm not saying I expected it, but it was, you know what, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world. I would have been more surprised by other things that the Browns have done in the past 6 years than if we would have gotten that news dump Monday morning.
More on that coming up at 7:20. I like what your thought is. 216-474-0092. Also, we always knew we'd get here with the stadium. The city just had to go through the paces to try to look good. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, except it's Danny Cunningham in for Tone, live on the Fan. Peter and Company Jewelers.
Only one place for a full recap of practice in Berea. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. 92.3 The Fan.
Jimmy reached out to me a couple weeks ago after you had conversations with Secretary Duffy about our airport project and the work that the Haslam's are leading with the Brook Park Dome Stadium. And I felt there was an opening there for us to figure out what's a win-win for the city and the region. I went over to Jimmy's house on Friday. We had 2 Cokes and we struck a deal. The fight we put up was the right fight. I was elected to protect the hard-working taxpayers of this great city, but this deal shows that fight worked, and we have a win-win for the city and a win-win for the region with this deal.
That's Mayor Justin Bibb. Yesterday, the Browns made a deal with the Mayor Bibb.
And we're just getting started.
And the city of Cleveland. Here's more of Bibb. Talks about the major payment from the Browns / Haslam Sports Group.
HSG has committed to give the city of Cleveland a $25 million upfront payment by December 1st of this year. HSG has also agreed to demolish the stadium and prepare that site for future development on our city's lakefront once their lease ends.
All right, so that's about $100 million. What's the schedule of the rest of the payments and everything like that, Mr. Mayor?
Beginning on January 1st of 2029, HSG will pay the city of Cleveland $5 million until 2033, totaling $25 million over 5 years. And upon termination of the lease, HSG will invest $2 million per year on mutually agreed community benefits project, totaling $20 million.
Okay. Here's Browns owner Jimmy Haslam, owner of the Haslam Sports Group, talking about how excited he is to partner with the city of Cleveland and Brook Park.
When we embarked on the journey to Brook Park, or really just to build a new stadium or enhance our current stadium, we said we had 2 goals in mind. One was to take care of our fans, and the second one was to do what was best for Northeast Ohio, and we think we've fulfilled those goals. And I can't tell you, after a bumpy time period, we'll just describe it as this, how excited we are to make this investment in the city of Cleveland with Mayor Bibb. And I think these dollars will be put to good use. Will make Cleveland an even better place to live, work, and raise a family. So Dee and I and our entire sports group, the Cleveland Browns, could not be more excited about this partnership with the city of Cleveland and Mayor Bibb.
So we've all talked about this for a long time. I mean, this has been going on. You first heard the rumors back in 2017. That was a different mayor, obviously, at the time. The rumors that they might be looking into something different or a revamped stadium, this, that, the other, what have you. And then there's always been the different sites that maybe they would use. We know what's just south of 77 or something downtown where they would basically knock down some buildings and put the stadium there. Lots of other things that have been always bandied about. My thoughts on it, when I first started looking into this, and hey, I ain't Daryl and I ain't the Galax or anything like that, but my thoughts on it, Danny, when I've always been looking into this is that at least over the last few years, I think the city, and I'm talking about the mayor and city hall and things like that. I think there's a lot of people in the city who may feel differently. The city's got a lot of people in it. I think that the city really didn't want to have the Browns downtown. And I think that they had to posture as if they were wanting the Browns downtown. There's a lot of people who took up that fight. And to that point, I kept looking at people taking up that fight going, I think you're fighting for a cause that they don't even want.
Yeah, and I think ultimately billionaires almost always get their way, and the Haslams have gotten their way here. I think it is the best stadium that we could possibly be getting, which is great. How it's being funded, I think, is a little bit of a different conversation. But ultimately, I think this city wanted some sort of financial package from the Haslams to take care of some other things. They got what they wanted, and everybody's going to be happy here as far as leadership goes on both sides.
So, and again, it's not... So this has been done in some other cities as well, where they just lost the teams and the teams moved. This team's
been done in this city.
Yeah, this team's going just down the road a piece, depending on how long you want to say it is. So I think that this is a little bit different. And I know that I've been critical of Mayor Bibb for a lot of other things. And some of it's been personally affected, things like that with us and Tone and the show and things like that and the pregame and things like that. This is, I think, a gamble in certain aspects. I think that there have been a lot of best laid plans in the city that have only been drawn up on paper, and we haven't seen some of the stuff that's been drawn up on paper in the last 70 years, for the love of God, is just unrealistic stuff. But some of the things that have been planned in the past have ended up failing, or some of the things that have been planned in the past that have actually been built, some of it's been called boondoggles. Now, I think that's the same problem Cleveland has as every single major city. Every single one. I think, though, because of the region, I think that the region is fiscally responsible in so many ways. I've heard this from sports writers where they go to other cities, they basically drop whatever they need. We are a different area. I remember that what Peter King was on the station. What was that on a couple years ago? And he just out of nowhere, unprovoked, Danny, was like, by the way, you guys freak out over the cost of stadiums. This is the price of business. And we're like, Peter wouldn't even ask you. Like, it was kind of weird where he came from, where he like shoehorned it in there. Nothing against Peter King, but it was a very weird thing to say during an interview that we didn't even ask him about, really. But again, I think the city, the mayor, the powers that be, I don't think they wanted the Browns downtown anymore. I think they want to build something else down there. I think they want something that's more infrastructurally something useful that they could have all year round instead of 10 dates during the regular season, or how many other dates it is during the regular season, and then a handful of concerts and monster truck rallies and things like that. I do think there's interest from the other two teams that are staying downtown that play it into this as well when it comes to the county and things like that. Okay. That said, it sounds like I'm being critical. No, I can't be critical for about another decade or so.
Right.
Because I want to see what the investment is. So if in 2025, now you could think whatever you want to about people who are certain politicians, and if you don't think that they're going to get anything done, then fine, you can go ahead and do that. But like when Oakland talked tough with the A's, and with the A's are a terrible example because that's a terrible.
With the Warriors.
With the Warriors, especially the Warriors. The Warriors, the Raiders, the A's, all that stuff. There were a lot of people. Yeah, that's right. Stick it to the team. Stick it to it. This is not some. Hey, I can respect that. Taxpayer money is a sensitive thing. But if you're going to do that, what are you investing in? Like, people wanted to go after that mayor of the city of Oakland. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I want to see what they built. If they don't build anything there and nothing gets done, then yeah, you just lost your sports teams.
100%.
Which is terrible.
Yes.
If nothing gets done down there and it just sits there and, well, we had this plan and that plan and this plan and that plan, like a certain other tract of land that I'm trying to not say anything in the city of Canton, Ohio right now, that a lot of people down there are very angry about. If nothing gets done, then I think it's going to go to the powers that be going, what did you negotiate for?
Right.
What did you do? Now, I don't believe that Mayor Bibb plans on being the mayor here for very terribly a long period of time. I think that he probably wants to run for a higher office, and I don't think it would look very good in a campaign if he were known as the guy who lost the Browns in the city of Cleveland, the second guy. So he can always go and say, I secured $100 million for the city of Cleveland, for the taxpayer, when the Browns decided to move just next door in Brook Park, Ohio. I got this done. There, everybody wins. The Browns get their stadium. Justin Bibb got the money. It's better than nothing. Justin Bibb got the $100 million, and then for the city got the $100 million, and Justin Bibb, when he goes to run for whatever office he wants to run for in the future, can always say during the campaign, no, I didn't lose the Browns. The Browns were leaving anyway. I made sure that we got our fair shake of it, and we got $100 million for the taxpayers of Cleveland.
Well, and
that's what he's going to say.
What he's going to want to say is that I was the one that revitalized the lakefront of Cleveland. I was the one that started the process of doing that. And whether or not that is actually going to happen, I don't know. That is going to be the thing, as you mentioned, 10 years down the line that we'll learn about. I have serious doubts about whether or not that happens, and it has nothing to do with anything with Bibb or politically. I just think that area of Cleveland is not a very pleasant place to be. Like, it is not a place you want to be for 8 months out of the year because of the weather on the lakefront. Like, that is a thing that people don't often think about. Yes, that stadium is only used 10 times a year and it feels like a waste.
Let me ask you this.
From June until September, it's great. From October until May, it's not.
No, wait a minute.
That is an issue here that Cleveland has that other cities don't have.
When it comes to retail and events, I can't help but see the history of it and go, okay, he's not terribly wrong about this. But when it comes to actual real estate that people are living in, I mean, I see the houses on Lake Road. I see the houses. I mean, when you go out further even towards Vermilion and things like that, I mean, houses on the lake are not necessarily cheap, and they're not cheap because they're on the lake. Do you turn that into Do you turn that into townhouses? Do you turn that into homes that it ends up being a very large amount of money that are people that are going to be living downtown? I mean, that's downtown residency.
They're going to try and make it retail, I would imagine.
There's got to be some in there, certainly.
They're going to try and make it maybe like a Crocker Park type of thing down there, like a bigger version of Crocker Park, because there is a lot of land down there and you don't realize how much that stadium takes up. And of course, we don't know what's going to happen with the airport as well. Like, I'm sure that's going to be a thing that they still try and close. I don't know if that will happen, but that is going to be part of these plans. So I would imagine that's what they're going to try and do. I just don't know how successful an outdoor space is going to be on that lake. I don't know if it's going to go the way they hope it goes.
216-474-0092. John Greco joins us just 1 hour from now. What does Myles Garrett's teammates expect from him after he said what he said on Sunday after the loss? 216-474-0092. That, and guys, Shedor's going to play this year, and when he does, I want him playing for the Cleveland Browns. Some silliness coming up in 5 minutes on The Fan. Northeast Factory Direct. There's
heralded, we're going to go back to the wide zone. We're going to go back to my old offense. How just completely inept. We thought it would be a bad offense. We didn't know it was going to be a historically bad offense. They're undisciplined.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
He's going to play, and when he plays, I want him playing for the Cleveland Browns. I got a weird text yesterday. I was out in Little Italy. I'm like, what is this? And a friend of mine from WFAN in New York sent me a text, and he asked me the question, and I straight out said no. And honestly, the reaction, it was flat out, why? You guys all hate him. I go, I don't hate him.
I don't think anyone here hates him.
I think there are some fans who, for whatever reason, maybe they hated his father or whatever, they've called in, they've tweeted here and there. I do think it's the vast minority of people hate Shedeur Sanders.
I think there are people that hate Shedeur Sanders fans because I don't think Shedeur has done anything wrong.
And done for anything
I don't
for me to
think
hate
that
him.
there's nothing that Shedeur has done, in my opinion, to make anyone dislike him. I think he's been a good kid so far. Is he ready to play quarterback in the NFL? I don't know. Probably not.
Well, I think some of our media brethren, when they say that and then they have a bunch of people telling them to, kiss their ass and God knows what else, I think they get annoyed by that. But that's not Shedeur's fault.
Shedeur. Shedeur's not doing that.
That's
fans of
fault.
Shedeur are doing that. I can't put that on the guy. It's not his fault he's got fans. It's not his fault he was uber popular in college. It's not his fault who his dad is. So I can't blame him.
I didn't know what was going on yesterday, and I was like, no. Well, what if you got your pick back? No. And then I heard this. Somebody sent me this on Twitter, and I put 2 and 2 together and went, oh, okay. Here's Evan Roberts yesterday on WFAN in New York.
It is time for the Jets to acquire Shedeur Sanders from the Cleveland Browns. And someone tell me why that's a bad idea. And I don't want to hear about it's a circus. It's a circus? What's this? What the hell is this that we're watching? Bad, crappy football is a circus. The Jets should have drafted this guy, I don't know, second, third, fourth. They got a million opportunities to draft him. He has not gotten an opportunity in Cleveland. I don't really care about the Cleveland Browns, so I'm not going to fight their battles. I'll let Josina Anderson take care of that. All I'm saying is I see a talent, a guy I think we all talked about him as a guy that could at least be a serviceable starting quarterback in the NFL. They are not giving him a chance in Cleveland. If I'm Darren Muji, I call up my contemporaries in Cleveland and I say, here's a 5th-round pick back. There's your 5th back. Let's get Shedeur in here and let's see what the kid has got, because why not?
For the record, it was not Evan who texted. It was not him. I don't know him very well at all. We've had him on the show a couple times. I think I've texted here and there.
Listen to the show, you can probably figure out who texted me.
Yeah, but I think, is he on that show or is he on another show?
He's on
the guy
that
who texted me. He's on that show in particular? That's why he texted me. Okay. I don't get a chance to listen that much anymore. I'm listening to Nick and JP. I can't, I gotta do what I gotta do. That's why I got that text. Okay. Now it's making sense. I don't know what Josina Anderson had to do with that.
That was a wild shot.
Okay, that was a hell of a shot by Evan. All right, couple of reasons. One, I want to see what he's got. 2, a couple of reasons I'm not trading him. I'm not trading Shedeur Sanders. 1, I want to see what he's got. 2, I want to see what he's got, and I'm still looking forward to something in this season because I'm running out of things to look forward to in this season. Number 3, and this is the lowest. It's not the biggest reason. I've had some knockdown dragouts about this guy, and I've had to deal with a lot of people over these last few months, and it's been longer than a few months, honestly, who, A, think that the Browns are sticking it to Shedeur on purpose. They're not. Now, I never claimed that the Browns wouldn't do it by accident where they might ruin him on accident. They've ruined guys before, and they may ruin him again. So I didn't take that part out of the equation at all. That was left in there. I don't think that they're going to go out of their way to put the boots to Shedeur or screw him out of an opportunity or treat him wrong or anything like that. I think a lot of that is hyperbolic. I think it's stuff to make it through segments. I don't believe it's real whatsoever. And I'm talking about national shows, whatever. All of that is patently 100% absolutely false, if not a lie on all that. But there is part of this where I've been through this with all this, And that thing has been brought up. There's been people who've decided to use our segments to their own gain of it. That's fine. I'm glad for the attention, even though I say what I say, it's the absolute truth. I want to see him because I like him. I want to see him because there's something to look forward to in the season still. And the third reason, not the biggest reason, I've been through far too many arguments and far too many shows about Shedeur Sanders to just trade him away during the season. I'm not doing that. I don't care. You can get your 5th round pick. Too bad. Don't want the 5th round pick.
Nope, not worth it.
I don't care.
Now, is there a price for you? Is there a price that you would trade him for?
There's a price for everybody, but there's no price that they're going to pay that is going to be more than the 5th round pick that you gave up to draft Shedeur Sanders. You didn't give it up. You used it on drafting Shedeur Sanders. There's
traded up to it.
Technically, yes. You used your 5th round pick that you traded up to get Shedeur Sanders. No. I don't think there's a realistic, nobody's coming in and going, we'll give you a 3rd for Shedeur. All right. He texts me, goes, what? He started to do it. And the first thing he did is where, you know how New York guys are. He tried to insult me as some sort of Josina Anderson was mentioned there. I got to tell you as well. I'm going, why is Josina Anderson mentioned?
What's she have to do with this?
I don't know. I have no idea about her tweets. The only thing I know about it, we've had her on the show. She's been nice. And the one time she said, keep an eye on Josh Rosen. I'm still trying to keep an eye on Josh Rosen.
That's what I think
he's turning into Doogie Howser or something like that. I have no idea what his life is becoming right now. He's doing something either in finance or medicine. So that's all I had. But he tried to insult me. And to get me oh, yeah, I'll trade him for that. No, that's not going to work. You're not going to insult me into trading Shedeur Sanders. Guys, look at where the season is. You're 1-5. We are 1-5. What else do we have to look forward to?
Nothing. Because it
ain't number 4.
No, it is absolutely not number 4. And it's not, if Dylan Gabriel acquits himself as yeah, this guy could be it. And he's not going to do that. I have no reason to believe he's going to do that. I don't think anyone believes he's going to do that. If that were the case, that, to me, is the only thing that could open up the door to potentially trading Shedeur Sanders. But that is not going to happen, in my opinion, and it is certainly not going to happen before the trade deadline arrives, right? So now you are opening the door for Shedeur Sanders to start games and see what he has this year. I think with where this season is headed, that needs to be part of the plan for the Browns. There's not a price that you are, as you mentioned, realistically going to get in order to trade him away. It doesn't make sense. And I know that this doesn't matter to Kevin Stefanski. It doesn't matter to Andrew Berry. It doesn't matter to the Haslams. But I would just like for fans to have something to look forward to have something that
I think it absolutely matters to the Haslams.
I don't think they care.
Fans have something to look forward to?
On this season? No.
Oh, I think you're dead wrong.
No, I think if they got the correct pick, I think they trade him. I don't think they're going to.
But they're not going to get the correct pick. Right. If somebody came in and it was Ken will offer you a 2nd round pick and they're dead serious, I guess I got to trade him. But no one's offering anything serious that you would go, nah.
It has to be that big of a jump up for you because what if it
has to be pretty significant.
They just got a 5th from the Bengals for Joe Flacco. What if
but Joe Flacco's 41.
What if it's listen to the trade here. Don't jump in. Shedeur and a 5th round pick for the Jets' 4th round pick.
No.
Okay.
I think it has to start at a 3rd.
That's why you start acquiring all those mid to late round picks, right? Is you don't take them to go get players with them right now. You take those picks to use them to package to move up to things.
Because then I start to ask myself, Owen.
It's magic beans in a pouch, man.
Owen has trained me well. I knew I had to wait on the end of that. There's a thought there, okay? But my answer to it would be, why do they might be desperate. That's fine.
Because they had negative 10 net passing yards last week.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was awful.
But I
don't know why we keep sending those games overseas.
If you're willing, because you're not going to get our best product.
It's the worst.
That's how you test if they really want football or not. You guys really want football over there? You'll take the Jets one week and the Browns the other week. And
the Vikings twice, and here come the Jags again.
We will find out whether or not you guys really want football. I send the Chiefs over there if I don't have to. Hell no. America gets the Chiefs.
They went to Brazil already.
Yes. And I wouldn't do it if
and
I
they
were
got
them.
the Chargers, too. They got a good game. They got a better game in Brazil than Europe has ever gotten.
It was on Friday night. Brazilian high school football is,
I ain't the commissioner.
one of the biggest things.
You will get the two. You want draft pick? You will get Tennessee. You will get the Browns. You will get the Jets if you want international games. Now, I'm not giving you the best and brightest.
They got the Bills last year.
And I don't believe in that. I wouldn't do that. I would not send great teams. If I send a great team over, you're going to play a bad one. I'm not sending the best. I want to see if there's an actual fever for you to show up and actually go to the football game, other than people taking it to go on a European trip. I want to see. Either way, Owen's right. But I'd have to ask myself, why are you calling and offering me all this for Shedeur? What are we not seeing then with Shedeur? Because either A, you're crazy and desperate, which the Jets are crazy and desperate, so that's it. Or B, you really don't think we know what we're looking at. And we might not know what we're looking at, but then I have to ask, do we know what we're looking at?
Well, and I do think there is a certain thing here about you don't want to see, if you are the Browns, the last thing you want to see is a guy go on and have success elsewhere. It's different with Joe Flacco because he is at the end of the line. Like, Joe Flacco probably in his last year of his career, if we're being honest with ourselves. Shedeur Sanders is a rookie. Like, he has a chance. I don't know how likely it is. He has a chance to be a good quarterback in this league. And you don't want to see that happen in a different helmet if you're Andrew Berry.
That's exactly right. I need to see what he's got with me. And if he ain't got nothing, fine. I'm going to try to kick the tires on that. I'm so damn desperate for a quarterback. And I want this to work out because I'm tired of hearing all the different conversations. We've said some crazy things. Guys, I like Jason. In fact, I love Jason Lloyd. I thought it was ridiculous what he wrote about just getting rid of Shedeur Sanders. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. If this season ain't going to mean nothing, I might as well get a chance to see what he has, and letting him go or trading him right away for nothing ain't going to fix a damn thing with this football team. 216-474-0092. Would you consider it? Am I wrong? Is Danny wrong? Danny and I agree with each other. He stays. Unless somebody came up with something that's unrealistic. No, Shedeur ain't going anywhere. I didn't do all this and have all these arguments for him to not play for this football team. At some point this season, that young man is playing for this football team, and we'll let the chips lay where they fall. We'll see where it goes. But he's playing for the Cleveland Browns. 216-474-0092. You guys coming up next on The Fan on that. Extend Tech.
League Championship Series. Dodgers over Milwaukee 2-1. LA in front 1 game tonight. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
So I got text yesterday, and I figured it out afterwards about this. Like, hey, Ken, would you trade Shedeur Sanders to the Jets? I'm like, no. And then he started, like, texting me nasty things about it. Like, just trade him to the Jets. You guys hate him. I go, we don't hate him, and I'm trying to drink limoncello over here. Let me alone.
Yeah.
Isn't he a Giants fan anyway?
Yeah, he's a Giants fan, yes. But here's Evan Roberts.
He's fighting the Jets battles?
Oh, yeah. He says that Jets fans are freaking out because they don't have Jackson Dart or anybody in the future. Which, again, we said it about Justin Fields. Guys, I like Justin Fields coming out of college. He's the quarterback that everybody wants, but nobody really wants to start. They always want him, but they don't want to start him. And then I heard this from Evan Roberts. Go, oh, that's why I got a text. They wanted some background some way, somehow, and they just decided to go with their own thoughts. Anyway, here's Evan Roberts, WFAN.
It is time for the Jets to acquire Shedeur Sanders from the Cleveland Browns. And someone tell me why that's a bad idea. And I don't want to hear about it's a circus. It's a circus? What's this? What the hell is this that we're watching? Bad, crappy football is a circus. The Jets should have drafted this guy, I don't know, second, third, fourth. They got a million opportunities to draft him. He has not gotten an opportunity in Cleveland. I don't really care about the Cleveland Browns, so I'm not going to fight their battles. I'll let Josina Anderson take care of that. All I'm saying is I see a talent, a guy I think we all talked about him as a guy that could at least be a serviceable starting quarterback in the NFL. They are not giving him a chance in Cleveland. If I'm Darren Muji, I call up my contemporaries in Cleveland and I say, here's a 5th round pick back. Here's your 5th back. Let's get Shedeur in here and let's see what the kid has got, because why not?
Even at the beginning of the year, if you thought that this was too much of a circus, quote unquote, if you thought it was too much to deal with Danny Cunningham in for Anthony, you're 1-5 now.
Right.
So I have to ask, like, especially if you go out there and lose to the Fish on Sunday, which that's a totally different conversation. Well, that's not totally different, but there's a interesting piece of that conversation.
That would be par for the course here.
I think that we start talking about Kevin in earnest if you lose to the Dolphins on Sunday. The Dolphins are a bad team, and they're a bad culture right now.
I think we're there already. I don't think winning that game changes things.
Either way,
it might buy them a little bit of time, but I don't think it changes the end outcome.
Well, at least you could say our culture isn't that bad. Your culture may be that bad.
At least your guys are showing up for meetings.
But 2-5 is better than 1-6, and at least your guys are showing up for meetings fine. But it's still where if you're 1-5 or you end up being 1-6 and you lose to the Dolphins, guys, he's the only guy I have to look forward to. He's the only guy that in the draft. He's the only one I have a chance. And I want to see him because you think we had fights about quarterback draft classes in the past. It is about to be a war on these phones about these quarterbacks. It's about to be a war for each one of these guys. There's going to be passionate fan bases for these guys. And there's also
in the draft coming up?
In the draft coming up. And there's also going to be a very strong segment of fans who, and you guys are going to be annoyed by this if you don't believe this way, there's going to be a very strong segment of fans who go, I don't care about 2026. Get us to 2027. Julian Sain's the best quarterback in college football right now. I don't care. I want to fix it and do it right instead of just forcing it with one of these other guys. I already know how this is all going to play out. So in any attempt to avoid it, because I see Dylan Gabriel, I see a guy who's a career backup. I see a perfectly fine young man who's a career backup who's probably going to have a lot of the same statistics and shortcomings and good qualities about him for the rest of his career. That's why Shedeur excites me, because I think his ceiling can be higher. I don't know if it will be or not. I don't know if he's going to be able to attain that in enough time. I don't know. But I'm telling you, I'd rather just kick the tires on him. I don't need a 5th-round pick from the Jets. We got plenty of other 5th-round picks. It seems like we have a billion of them for what we are. I'll go ahead and I'll kick the tires down the line on Shedeur Sanders and see whether or not he can hack it in the NFL. Because if you get rid of Shedeur, well, then there's only one other guy you're going to go to. And again, like I said yesterday, people take that as a threat.
Bailey Zappi?
No. I ain't looking forward to Bailey Zappi. He just exists. That's a creative player. The other guy, fans take that as a threat.
Because it is a threat. Because that is the last thing that you want to see. And Unfortunately, I feel like that's going to happen this year.
Unless
it's
you
the
guys,
absolute last thing I want to see. I never want to see that guy wear an orange helmet again.
And I'll tell you, you could say, well, I want him traded. And there's plenty of people who say they wanted him traded because they're tired of us talking about him. They think he's a waste of time. Okay, but if he gets traded, say they do trade him to the Jets for a fifth, they get rid of him, that's it. What if he goes out there and he plays well? What if he goes to the Jets and plays well? How would we like that? We're already dealing with one guy. He's playing exceedingly well. We're already dealing with it with him. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine even another massive fan base? Baker had his own massive fan base. That's why, like, some of the Shedeur fans, you guys ain't ready yet. Guys, we had a station in Oklahoma playing our shows and playing our games, playing Browns game. 2 stations in Oklahoma playing it because of Baker Mayfield. We had Johnny Manziel. We had Odell. We've dealt with massive fan bases before. But one of those massive fan bases are letting us have it every single week because he's playing his ass off. And some of those are still Browns fans, still letting us have it. There's people who don't even like Baker Mayfield and still want him gone, who are still going after the Browns because they're supposed to know better. Not any goofball who's on the radio or any guy who's in his neighborhood right now. If you had another guy go out there and do well, what would you think? And then, even if he went out there and he didn't do well, you could sit there and say, see, I told you so, but that's another guy that you took that was destined to be a failure for you. It doesn't make me feel any better to have a 5th-round pick for Shedeur. I'd rather, if this season is lost, and it basically is already, if the season's lost, then give me a chance to see him.
Yes.
Give me a chance to see him with the Cleveland Browns. Give me some modicum of hope before we just go, all right, that's it. That's all. And because he's getting paid a bunch of money, fine, let Deshaun Watson play for the Browns. That's,
Well, and I think a lot of the Shedeur stuff is you have to know the way that you're going to be positioning yourselves for next year. Whether Andrew Berry's the one running the show, Kevin Stefanski's still here, somebody else, like, you need to have answers, maybe not full and complete answers, but you need to at least have an idea. You brought up this upcoming spring's draft.
Yeah.
Like, that is part of this conversation, is what Shedeur looks like, is what Dillon Gabriel looks like. You need to know whether or not those guys, not franchise quarterbacks, you need to know if they're NFL caliber quarterbacks, because I don't think we have those answers right now. We might think Dillon Gabriel can be a nice backup for his career. We don't know that as of right now. He's played 2 games. And I don't think it's entirely fair to look at what he's done in these first 2 games and say, yes, this guy can or this guy can't because of the situation he's in. And the same will be true of Shedeur, but you'll at least have a better idea because you're not getting that idea with what you're going through on a weekly basis in practice. Now, maybe things are bad behind the scenes, and that can tell you certainly more, but you need to see what he looks like on Sundays. You need to see what this guy looks like in game action to know, okay, maybe we have a backup quarterback. Maybe we have a guy that's a replacement level starter, and we can kick the can down the road to 2027 where that draft class of quarterbacks might look a little bit better than the 2026 class does. You need to get answers for your future this season. That is what the rest of the season has become about. It's not about this season. This year's a lost year, and it's been a lost year since the field goal was missed from 37 yards week 1. It's been a lost season since that exact moment. It needs to be about 2026.
216-474-0092. Ben in Kansas City, Missouri.
Monday leave
Ben.
Yes, I'm here.
We have you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I heard what you're saying about potentially having this crew take a look at what you have in Shedeur. But my problem with that is they ran Baker off. So what faith do you have that they're actually going to know what they're looking at whenever you get to see him?
Well, at least I get to see him, don't I?
You do.
I got to tell you,
that's behind a terrible offensive line.
Yeah, Ben, that's not a bad. He's going to have a bad offensive line.
The ball when you have a good run.
He'll have a better wide receiver when he goes to New York. I'll tell you that. But he still has a bad offensive line, and I don't know if anybody trusts their coaching staff right now.
Yeah, I hear you on that, but like I said, I
trust the Brown staff
the
over
crew
the Jets.
I agree, but that's not getting a true evaluation of the quarterback. That's just getting an evaluation of the quarterback in those systems.
Well, I think that if he's that good, he'll raise the boat a little bit. Now, there's some teams you can't overcome, but you could say, like, hey, this guy did well. They got to put some people around. I mean, it's the same thing with Baker in 2018. You can look at him and go, hey, he did well. They're starting to come out of it. Ben, thank you for the call. They need to put some more around him, and they did. They tried to. But when you look at real quick, you could either see that, or there'd be plenty of people who would look at all what Shedeur's putting on tape and go, nah, this isn't, if it were to go the other way, this isn't a pro quarterback, or this isn't even a starting quarterback or anything like that.
You're not figuring out, and this is true for both Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel, you're not figuring out whether this guy's a franchise quarterback or a backup quarterback. You're figuring out, is this guy worth being on the roster? is this guy worth investing time and resources into to figure out, to learning more about him, to maybe he can be a backup?
Yeah.
You're getting answers to those questions because you're right. Like, whoever the quarterback is this year, next year is going to be in a different situation, whether it's coaching, whether it's at the executive level. Hopefully, it's certainly with a different offensive line that is improved next year. It's going to be a different situation next year, whoever's playing quarterback for the Browns, and it will certainly be a different situation in 2027. But you need to figure out whether these guys are worth seeing in that situation. That's what you can learn this year, and that to me is important.
Jack and Lorraine, you're next up on the Fan. Hello, Jack.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call.
Glad to have you.
I don't say this very much recently, Ken, but I agree 100% with what you're saying.
All right.
We don't take a quarterback in this draft. In my opinion...
Hold on. I'm not saying to not take a quarterback in the draft, Ben. I'm thinking that there's going to be a lot of people like yourself who don't want to take a quarterback in the draft.
Well, I'm sorry. I misspoke. I don't want to take a quarterback in the top 2 rounds of this draft. I'm focusing on 2 offensive tackles, a corner, and a wide receiver in those first 4 picks. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
I think you talked Jack out of agreeing with you.
But no,
without saying much.
It ended up being a draft call, and I don't want to take a draft call on October 14th, Jack. Please, later on.
Wait till the 20th.
Yeah, let's wait until the 20th.
Yeah, let's see what
they
do against Miami. to know if they're picking 1st or 5th.
That was nicely produced up there. I was just making the statement that I think there will be a lot of people, and I'm not going to sit there and call them all goofballs now, that don't like this draft class and will not want to take a quarterback like Jack. I'm not going to call you goofballs because I assume that the franchise is going to be wanting to draft a quarterback. Just because the franchise wants to draft a quarterback doesn't mean you're going to want to draft a quarterback. Because you got all the time in the world, I think you're just going to want to get it right instead of having to force it with one of these other guys chasing hot hands. Owen is rubbing his face right now. He can't believe. Jeffrey in Cleveland. Jeffrey, hello.
Hey, guys, I think that Gabriel, he's talented. He's more collegiate talented, but he don't have the it factor. I think Shedeur has the it factor. I think Shedeur would make it in the NFL no matter what team he goes to. And 2 other guys I think has the it factor. Schlesinger and Ruckins, they both have the it factor. They have talent.
What is the it factor?
Define it?
Define it for me, Jeffrey, please.
The it factor to me is a player that can make something out of nothing at any time. That's the it factor. If you need 3 yards, the it factor get you 4 yards. If you need 10 yards, the it factor get you 12 yards. That's the it factor. And I don't see Gabriel having that it factor yet.
Jeffrey, thank you very much for the call. As of right now, I can't say no. I would like to say Shedeur. I haven't seen him yet. I'd like to give him the chance with the Browns to do so. It's not about, guys, it's not about whether or not.
You can't proclaim he has the it factor. You can for Judkins. I think we all see it there.
And Judkins very good. And I think Schlesinger's awesome. A guy who, when they drafted, I had no idea who he was that day.
If Harold Fannin would catch a couple more balls, you could say it for him, too. But you can't say it for Shedeur yet.
No, he's done nothing in the NFL.
We got a lot of people trying to get in here. 216-474-0092. It's a question of whether or not you would trade Shedeur. Evan Roberts over at FAN. They're like, hey, I'll trade the Browns the 5th round pick back. All right. Would you be willing to do so? Because no, not for me. Not for Danny. Make that case. 216-474-0092. We'll get to you guys on that. And Kevin Stefanski's job is not on the line. Ask me on Monday. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Danny in for Tone, live on the Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for...
Duke's mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
Whenever you need to talk about the Browns, we got you covered.
Hey, ho, ho, Kevin Stefanski has got to go. Hey, ho, ho, Kevin Stefanski has got to go.
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Eight o'clock, John Greco going to join us on the show. There's a lot of reaction into what Evan Roberts said. People who are going, Ken, get him out of town. We're done. I'm like, how are you done? It hasn't even really started. It hasn't even started. What else do we got to look? What else do we have to look forward to, guys?
You don't want the other thing. You don't want the other thing.
No, you don't. Even if you don't like him, like the other guy, there's a lot of people who don't like him, and you don't want to see him. You're not even curious.
No.
This guy. Even if you don't like the guy, guys, you can't tell me you're not curious. Danny Cunningham in for Tone. You can't tell me you're not curious.
You got to see it.
You can't tell me, even if you're one of the people who think, they give me the 13 and 12 in college as if he took over Alabama. It was Colorado. But either way, even if you're one of the people who say 13 and 12, had Travis Hunter, smoke and mirrors, yada, yada. Even if you're one of the people who think that, which all those are, to me, not real reasons to dislike him, but either way, you can at least say, you can't tell me you're not curious. You're curious.
And he went 13 and 12 in college with essentially what was the college equivalent of the Browns' offensive line.
Yes.
Like that 13 and 12 doesn't look great on the surface. And should he have his number retired? Probably not.
No.
That's a different conversation. But he played behind because of how that Colorado team was built. And obviously his dad very much utilized the transfer portal. Guess what? Really good offensive linemen don't typically leave their school. They typically stay. Those are not the guys that you're able to attract via the portal, which is how Colorado built its team, which is how they were able to be 13 and 12. But he has played behind what was the collegiate equivalent of what the Browns have playing offensive line right now.
And Evan Mobley, excuse me. I don't know.
Good, though.
I don't know if Evan Mobley has an opinion on Shedeur Sanders playing for the Browns.
I'll ask him tonight.
Thank you very much. Yes. That is not the Surfside Cavs moment. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay.
We will do that later.
I know some Cavs have an opinion of Shedeur.
What do you know?
What
do you know?
The Cavs were very excited when Shedeur was drafted last spring.
Why is that?
Because they were excited. There were players on the Cavs that were over the moon Shedeur Sanders was coming to Cleveland.
Name names.
I'm not naming names.
Name names.
No, it's off the record stuff, but there were guys that were excited. I will tell you that.
They play Detroit tonight, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Go into the locker room, and I need you to collect sound and go, hey, do you want to see Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders play for the Cleveland Browns? Do your job. Do your job.
That's not my job.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
I
not.
just made it your job.
That's not
I'm not
my
that
job.
powerful, but now I'm going to goad you into it.
That is not my job.
You can't tell me.
No, that's Spencer German's job. Have Spencer German do that.
Spencer won't do it. That's
his job.
No, is Spencer listening right now? Text him right now.
Maybe, I don't know. That's
See
his
if he's
job.
got the pills to ask at least one play. And it can't be like a Samardo Samuels or something like that. Like, get Evan on the record. I want Evan on the record.
I don't know that Evan has an opinion. I'll try and find out.
Evan Roberts, though, I think Evan's I think a Jets fan, and I think he just wants something to look forward to. There's nothing to look forward to the Jets. I'm not trading them their thing to look forward to. We're in the same boat.
I thought you said he was a Giants fan.
No. The guy who texted me is a Giants fan.
Okay.
He works on that same show. I didn't realize he worked on that same show because I haven't been able to listen recently because I forgot because I've been listening to Nick and JP, to be honest with you.
Yeah, likely story.
The truth's the truth. I listen to Nick and Jonathan.
Yep.
Justin in Cincinnati. I'm about to listen to him. He's next up on the fan. Hello, Justin.
Hey, good morning, fellas. How are you?
We're doing well, Justin. Go right on ahead.
Good. Ken, I'm 100% with you on the whole Shedeur Sanders thing. There's no logical reason not to at least see what you have, because I think you know what you have with Dylan Gabriel. It's a high floor, low ceiling. I'm sure he's like the equivalent of a teacher's pet. I'm sure he studies really hard. I'm sure he's really, in the locker room early and leaves late kind of guy. Like, I get it, but we know what we have with Dylan, and it's not exciting. it's a lot, honestly, like Kevin Stefanski. So maybe they are a perfect fit for each other.
It is
With that being said,
yes. You're real quick. You're so right, Justin. I mean, you go back and watch that. He dropped back 58 times. You're throwing the ball for 4 yards a pass.
So absurd.
That is a terribly boring offense. A terribly inept offense. You can't just say that passing makes people look. No, not that. That was terrible. Go ahead. Continue.
well, and my fear is kind of twofold. One, it's if we throw Shedeur in there, it's the same thing for the last 3-4 plus years, maybe since 1999. Who do you have around him? What playmakers have you gone out and acquired that are actual weapons? I just watched Michael Penix last night light it up because he's throwing to Drake London, who's making plays. Mm-hmm. Who do we have around us? It's my biggest fear because it's been that way since I can remember. And I'm sorry, Isaiah Bond and Gage Laverdane, Jamari Thrash, those guys aren't, like, what are we talking about here? You've got a bunch of wide receiver 3s and 4s, and I don't know, Ken, if you've seen this, the hypothetical floating around on the internet of if Ohio State and the Browns played each other and there was a 45-point spread, would the Browns cover? And the only reason that people are even entertaining that is because of how bad the Browns' offense is.
That's why my buddy TJ asked me about that yesterday. Now I'm getting it here.
The Browns would not cover.
If the Browns would be able to score 50 points. I truly don't. Not with those offensive tackles, not with those wide receivers. Your best playmakers on your team are a rookie running back from.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this: who's a good young quarterback right off the top of your head? Young.
Good young quarterback.
Young.
Justin Herbert. Does he count as young? I don't know. He's like
he's been in the league for a while. Like, I was thinking, do you believe? And I know they lost last night, so you're probably going to say no. But either way, let's go with this exercise. Do you believe Jaden Daniels is a good young quarterback? I do. Right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you believe he could make Jamari Thrash, Gage Larvadan, et cetera, look a little bit better?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. There would be enough.
Sure. Then that ends up, and Justin, thank you very much for playing along with me. That's what makes the argument. They could still go out there and lose games. It's the Browns, and he could still play well. We did that before with a quarterback. And you remember at the beginning of the year when we talked about taking QBs, Lima and everybody and their brother. How many times did Lima mention Jaden Daniels? 1 billion.
Every time he brings up a quarterback.
Every single time we brought up a quarterback in the draft class last year, Jaden Daniels, and it was like, we're on different wavelengths here, but he kept bringing up Jaden Daniels. There would be a way, if Shedeur were good, he would make them look. They might not win games. They very well might not win games. I think this is not a great roster. That offensive line is old. It does concern me. He'd have to get rid of the ball very, very quickly. It could not be what he did in that third preseason game. You cannot hold on to the ball. You got to know where you're going with it, and you got to get 1, 2, 3. It's got to be gone. Probably on 2. You got to get rid of it. But if he were able to do that, yeah, you'd make these guys look a little bit better. But they got to hold on to the damn ball for you too.
Right.
Because we've had drops as well.
How many quarterbacks that are young can look good when the only above average playmakers you have are running backs and tight ends? Because Jerry Jeudy's been bad this year. I think that's a fair thing to say. Your best playmakers right now are Quinshon Judkins, David Njoku, and Harold Fannin. Those are your 3 best. And if you are a young quarterback, yeah, it's nice to have those types of players as security blankets, but it's not nice to have those types of players as, hey, it's 3rd and 7. I need 9 yards. Let me find the tight end. No, you need receivers to throw to.
John Greco, coming up in 5 minutes. What are Myles Garrett's teammates expecting from him? Because he's talking tough again. Ken Carman, Anthony Lyman. Take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app. It's Danny in for Tone on the free Odyssey app. And watch us live on YouTube for free.
segments from all our shows. You can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
Browns lost on Sunday. It's a problem. Browns lose this Sunday. It's a real big problem. And you go, wait, Ken, no, I think it's going to be a big problem. I want to run some questions by John Greco. He joins us, former Browns offensive lineman, current analyst. He's on the Fan Hotline. Hello, John.
Hey, Ken. Hey, Danny. Hey, Owen. How's everyone?
Oh, God, you already sound like you are not
He sounds
enthused
defeated.
to do
John,
this.
are you okay?
I'm doing well, yes.
Danny Cunningham in for Tone today. Are you sure you're doing well? Are we ready to go over this?
Absolutely.
All right. So your thoughts on the loss. What was the biggest problem on the loss on Sunday to Pittsburgh before we look into the future here?
Oh, God. I mean, I have a long list of things that kind of bother me, but I have to say that the huge number of pass attempts really bothered me. And, you know, there's so many different ways to dissect why they might have done it, why it was the best option at the time, why they couldn't run the ball. But, you know, your best offensive player right now is a running back. And you pass the ball that many times with your, third and fourth string tackles right now? Mm-hmm. And there's more injuries. And, you know, Dylan Gabriel had 2.5 seconds to throw the ball on 80% of those throws, I would have to guess. Why not hand the ball off a few times? Now, I know that there's loaded boxes. I've said that on your show before, that's all the Browns are going to see, because if you take away their main threat, you know, sure, pass the ball against us 60 times. I'd sign up for that if I was a defender or a defensive coach going against the Browns. But at least if you're handing the ball off, you have one of your best playmakers, probably your best playmaker on offense, with the ability to try to make somebody miss in the hole or break a tackle and spring a big play. That's really their only way to manufacture big plays right now, assuming nobody holds and there's no penalty. So, you know, how many of those attempts were 10 yards or more down the field? It didn't seem like many. And if there are, they're typically at the end of the half when, you know, the team's defense is playing soft or in mop-up duty. But, you know, I'm sick of seeing passes hit guys in the helmet and they act like they just landed on planet Earth, like they weren't expecting the ball. And maybe they weren't. But, my God, they better be ready, because there's not a lot of time to throw. So you can't assume anything that you can get your normal depth on these routes. You have to be expecting the ball at all times, or the ball's dropped, or the ball's thrown over your head or underthrown. There's just so much going on. And then maybe when everything is good and somebody's running free on a route, you know, the quarterback's getting hit or hurried or rushed or sacked. So it's just such a symphony of mistakes and errors offensively right now that I don't even know how to pinpoint it, where to tell you that they lost. Special teams continues to, you know, show up in areas where it's just like, my God, what are they doing? And then defensively with the big plays, and I knew there was a new guy there and at corner after the Greg Newsome trade, but, you know, those guys can't hold off forever. And I you know, we talked about it the last 2 weeks. You know, yeah, hey, guess what? Teams are going to start putting 2, 3, 4 guys on Myles Garrett and playing one-on-one everywhere else and try to make plays. But, you know, those guys, frankly, are probably tired of it. And they realize that they have to hold teams to 7 points or 10 points to try to win the game. So you can see frustrations are starting to mount, and rightfully so.
I love that you call this a symphony of errors. I can't think of a better way to describe it, but I am curious from your perspective, what about that symphony of errors is fixable? Like, what do you look at if you are part of this team or if you're part of this coaching staff and say, we have to start here. This is what can realistically get better now?
Well, you're not going to like this answer. I don't know if you can, because, you know, you just heard me rattle off. You just heard me rattle off a lot of the things that contribute to it. And, okay, Kevin Stefanski can come in this week and say, hey, look, we're handing the ball to our running back and let them try to stop us. Well, that gets everybody amped up. Like, if that used to get me amped up in the offensive line room, I'd be like, okay, let's be road graders. Let's get this guy loose and see what can happen. But, I'll go back to defenders are just more and more defenders are going to start creeping in the box, lurking in the box, because they don't have a pass game to respect. And if they do, a defense could say, hey, we're willing to let a guy, throw one over our head and maybe we draw a pass interference or get a big chunk play. But, hey, let's just go play defense in the red zone. And hey, if we make a mistake and let up one big play, the Browns can't score more than 17 points. So let's just take some risks over here and stop the run, make them completely one-dimensional. But to try to find an answer to your question, I think it's, Coach Stefanski is going to come out and say, oh, we got to execute better. We got to do this better. Everyone's going to win their one-on-one job. And he's right, and that has to, come true. But I just don't know how you can expect, these guys that are playing a tackle right now, it's starting to wear on them. Obviously, the interior guys are more one-on-one because you have to slide guys certain ways to help one tackle, and then the other one tackle is exposed. You're leaving tight ends in, all these things that I always come on and say on your show, and that just takes more and more threats out of the play. So when you have two-man route combinations because everybody else is trying to pass protect, that's not easy. And then we're upset at Dylan Gabriel. Just throw it. Well, the guy's thrown into double coverage, trying to throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball into the tightest window, and the passes are being deflected. And this sounds so negative because it's frustrating, and that's what happens when you're one-dimensional, or when you try to force things and you can't get it done, or you make all those errors and it just seems like they mound up with penalties and a missed assignment here and there, or the wrong route, or a drop, or a missed read, or a missed throw, or a missed block. There's just so much negativity going on right now offensively that I don't even know where you begin.
All right, John, I want to ask you something else here. Myles Garrett has shared his frustration. I'm sure you heard the post-game sound. I got a Mike Tomlin audio bit I want you to hear, so we got a lot of work to do here together. But your thoughts on Myles Garrett, what's his teammates think of him, when he said, he was asked about, playing with a lead, and he said must be nice. Here's Myles on the game, after the game on Sunday, after they lost to the Steelers, and being asked about the defense playing with a lead.
When you watch their pass rushers able to get after it because they have a 2 or 3 score lead, what goes through your head? Must be nice.
He's frustrated. And I think we're starting to see the cracks where, Sunday, going into the game, Evan Washburn saying, oh, yeah, talk to Jim Schwartz. This team's together. Uh-huh. And now after the game, I don't know if it's going to go that way. I mean, every man reaches his breaking point. However, Myles has been called into question for his effort on Sunday's game. Where do you lie on any of that?
I'm not going to question his effort. I know his production wasn't there, and I'm not making excuses for him, but like I just said in the previous comments, he's got 2, 3, 4 different sets of guys blocking him and hitting him on every play, and rightfully so. They should be doing that. And he's just going to have to get used to that. And when your offense can't score points and is not explosive, you're going to be in tight games, and you're not going to get a lot of, late cleanup where you're against their third string tackle and pin your ears back and going and crushing the quarterback. I've played on the wrong end of a lot of those situations. It is not fun. And you could tell the defensive line is laughing and yamming it up, and it sucks, let me tell you. So the best situation playing offensive line is when you're playing with a lead and those guys are frustrated because they're not getting their 2, 3, 4 big plays a game where they're getting sacks or quarterback hits. So, yeah, he has every right to be frustrated, and that's what he's going to do. The guy's a future Hall of Famer. Nobody's going to go up to him and say, hey, don't say that to the media. It might send the wrong message. That's just not going to happen. He's going to do and say what he's feeling, and he's earned that right, frankly. He signed the big contract to stay, and that's, he made that bet. He's got to delay in it. So Go ahead.
Well, at the same time, I'm not trying to be tough talking Ken here, John, but
Yeah.
It's like, hey, man, like everybody's, no, you signed your deal. He could have, if he really wanted to, he could have folded his arms and stomped his feet and probably got the same amount of money somewhere else, got a Micah Parsons deal somewhere else, and he could have moved on. He didn't. So when it comes to, any belly aching about how things are going, it's like, hey, man, you had your chance to get out, and we could have got 2 first-round draft picks, so it wasn't like anybody was going to hate you over it, for crying out loud. Now that you've signed on, you're here forever. You can't poison the waters. I know you're frustrated, but, man, you signed on for a hell of a lot of money. You can't make it any worse.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And like I said, that's just what he's going to do. And really, what can anyone do about it? He's going to make his comments to the team in the locker room, behind the scenes, and to the media. And that's just where everybody has to live with it. And is it the right way to do things? Maybe not. Is it, but that's what he's doing. So that's sending a message. I don't know if it's going to rally the troops and or continue to poison the waters. I like how you said that, but it's the fact of the matter is it is what it is, and he's going to continue to say that. And my God, if it looks even worse, or if it looks like that against Miami, who is in total disarray, I hate to see what happens in the postgame comments this Sunday.
Let me ask you this: John Greco joining Danny Cunningham, Ken Carman here. Danny's in for Tone this morning. I want to play the Mike Tomlin audio from yesterday here, and I need to look inside of what you think, because I have my opinion of what he was trying to say. Danny, I think, shares a lot of the same agreement, but I want to hear it from you. Here's Mike Tomlin yesterday talking about the Joe Flacco trade from the Browns to the Bengals.
To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
That probably is his personal feelings. However, do you think he's trying to stick up for Kevin in a way?
I don't know if I see it that way. I guess I've never thought of it like that. I think it's more of a kind of a troll job, and he's, kind of kicking us while we're down and taking a shot at Andrew Berry. I think he obviously respects the hell out of Joe Flacco and his resume, and playing against him in the playoffs throughout his career. I don't know. I don't know if I'm reading between the lines that much, and that he's that cryptic with the defense of Kevin Stefanski. He might be doing that. That's not how I took that. But the comments were interesting, and Coach Stefanski, I did hear his response and kind of his remarks, which is totally calculated, and obviously what I would expect Kevin Stefanski's response to be. But Mike Tomlin, they just won the game. That was his response. He's taking a little shot. He's having some fun. He's being sarcastic. That was more kind of what I took from it.
I looked at it too as he's annoyed that he has to play Joe Flacco and not Jake Browning this week. Like that, I think is part of it, is that the Browns made his life a little bit more difficult, even if the Browns can't actually make his life difficult when they play the Steelers, but they made it a little bit more difficult on a short week. And I do think that there is a respect for Kevin Stefanski that he has, and I kind of think he sees a lot of what's happening here with the tide is sort of shifted onto people are blaming Kevin in a way that they weren't before.
Yeah, you make a good point about the preparation for this week, how it's changed, and he would much rather not play against Joe Flacco. But I don't know. I guess I just wasn't reading into it that much as far as like the head coach and the two head coaches kind of watching out for each other cryptically. I just think it was more as a subtle shot to the front office and, hey, what are we doing? Like one of those kind of things. Are they a little bit, do they have to, try a little bit harder against Joe Flacco? Sure. But either way, you got to prepare, and they're not going to take anybody lightly. I just think it was more of a subtle shot.
Dolphins are slop. We're slop. 1-5, 1-5. If you lose this game, does Kevin risk losing the locker room?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if losing the lock. I just think it would be so bad. The Browns are favored, okay, and it's funny. I heard Tua's comments and the head coach's comments about these player-only meetings, and oh my God, I used to hate player-only meetings. Guys not showing up, guys showing late, and then they have to go out into the media and say those things. If you're a leader, you should call those guys out in the locker room, not through the media. So they are in shambles. But I feel like they still have playmakers. Their running back is a playmaker on offensively. That guy had an unbelievable game. Tua can still deliver it if he's, standing upright and not running for his life. And their defense can get after the quarterback a little bit. So I think the Browns have to really focus on trying to do things the right way offensively. The defense could, take care of itself, but limit the mistakes, the pre-snap penalties, the missed assignments. Try to be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, and that's the only thing that's going to put them in the best chance to win. Because if they're going out there making mistakes, and one thing is they've been taking care of the football offensively, so continue to do that, and hopefully they come out on the right side of things. Because I don't know if he'll quote unquote lose the locker room, but it's going to get a lot uglier. You're going to have even more moans and groans into the media from Myles Garrett. Offensively, you're still going to hear the same things. We got to get back to work. We can't make mistakes, and people just have to get used to that. That's all that we're going to hear out of Coach Stefanski and the guys on offense. They're not going to give us anything. But yeah, it's going to be a tough sledding if they lose to Miami this weekend.
Okay, like 30 seconds. Why did you hate player-only meetings?
Because I just thought it showed you didn't have a player-only meeting because things were rosy and going well and smelling great. It was because things were dire, and yeah, you use them to try to rally the troops. But I think, guys, because I was a part of so many of them, and you just kind of knew, like, hey, we're doing this because we have to, and it's important. I'm not downplaying them. But I just think I hated them because I was a part of so many, and you have them because of the current state of the room or the building or the situation, and generally it's not good when you're having them. So I think it just brings back bad memories for me. But when you're starting to call guys out from not showing up or being late, I mean, that's ugly.
The great John Greco on the Fan Hotline. Find him on Twitter at John_Greco77. John, thank you for the time.
Guys, have a great week.
Outstanding. John Greco on the Fan Hotline. Hated player-only meetings because of that.
Who could blame him?
The Browns still haven't had a player-only meeting.
That we know of.
That we know of. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Danny in for Anthony. And it's a serious conversation with all you and your friends. I don't think it's considered in the building unless they lose Sunday.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
It's just such a symphony of mistakes and errors offensively right now. I don't even know how to pinpoint it. You know, those guys, frankly, are probably tired of it. And they realize that they have to hold teams to 7 points or 10 points to try to win the game. So you can see frustrations are starting to mount, and rightfully so.
Mistakes and errors. Welcome into the show.
A symphony of errors.
That's what we're called. Mistakes and errors. Welcome in. Good morning with Mistakes and Errors. What
am I?
The neutral zone. Right now we got neutral zone with Rat Boy and the Hog at 8:45, so you can pick whichever one you want to be. Well, you can't be the Hog. I'm the Hog, so I guess you're the Rat Boy.
Ah, cool.
Niles Red Dragon shirt. That's an excellent shirt. Well done.
Thank you.
So we just heard John Greco talk about, I don't mean to look too far into it, but I'll take John's word for it. I just think when I hear Mike Tomlin talk about what's going on in Cleveland, I'm sure he was asked about it. I only heard the clip. He's willing to say all that because he could have very well just said, hey, we're glad we won against Cleveland. We're on to Cincinnati. We got a big game coming up. Of course, he would have said we're on to Cincinnati. People would have thought he's making a Belichick joke. We're getting ready for Cincinnati. And that's what I thought. When you decide to say what you want to say about he was surprised and that Andrew Berry must know better than all of us, that's a pointed thing to say.
I believe he was asked about facing Flacco this week.
And then he says that.
Yeah, because the second there's another answer that I have from Tomlin here, and it's about Flacco and how he makes adjustments against defenses. If you'd like to hear that, too, for a little extra context.
Okay, go ahead.
The quarterback coming in within 8 days of showing up has to start 2 games for a new team. If you speak to how hard that is, or maybe it's veteran guy.
Does it appear to be hard for Joe Flacco?
All right, thanks, Joe.
Great. Well, you guys been knowing me to say.
Man, he's been coaching against this guy. He coached against this guy when he was good, when he was young. Boy, that sounded nasty towards Joe. You get what I'm saying? When he was in his prime, I'm sorry.
He clearly thinks that Joe Flacco was the best quarterback on the Browns roster.
Oh, yeah.
And doesn't understand why he's gone.
Well, and that's coming from the guy that coached Kenny Pickett.
He knows he's know what he's watching on tape. He sees these missed opportunities. He sees guys he's missing targets. And it's the same thing that happened when we talked about Joe. Joe wasn't seeing the entire field. Now, Joe's 6'5". Joe wasn't seeing it because he's not the same quarterback he used to be.
His old hips couldn't get around to seeing the full field.
Dylan can't see the whole field for a plethora of reasons that I think
Short eyes can't see the whole field.
Yeah, one of them is obviously 100% apparent. When you're standing there in the pocket, and this is the thing that I got, and I know he moved around a little bit. I'd like to see more. When you have a small guy throwing, this is going to get nitty gritty here for a second. When you have a small guy throwing, if you want to do it, you go right on ahead and do it.
Football guys
we got,
in the room
let's do it. We got 3 football guys in here. I forgot about that.
Oh, let me pull it.
Hell yeah, brother!
We were watching film during the break.
Yes, we were.
We were watching
football. It's time for nitty-gritty football.
Jamison Crowder wheel route down the right sideline. Jordan Reed touchdown and a 4x1 individual ISO slant.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
I got huddle going right now. We got three computers with huddle going right now where we're talking.
So cool.
I'm supposed to do a Cav surf side. Oh my God!
I got huddle going right now.
We got huddle going, folks. This is good stuff.
We're watching film.
So let me tell you this: when you got
on YouTube.
when you got a smaller guy throwing, did you or did you not? Did you think they moved the pocket?
No, not well enough.
Okay, because there were a lot of times it was like a drop back, and when they brought a gap pressure, that was it. Even if Ethan Posick's doing his best, when you are of that stature, it's going to be there. Guys, I'm not trying to make short jokes or say anything. I know one guy called him.
It is the truth.
I'm just being honest with you. When you have a guy who's smaller, you're forced to move the pocket because you have to open up different windows, and it makes it more difficult. It's a challenge, and he may be smart, and I'm not saying he's stupid. He's smart, but you give yourself more challenges when you have that. It's a little easier when you have a guy who's a little bit taller than that, who can still survey the field. Now, you got to be able to get rid of the ball. You wasn't able to get rid of the ball. But this is the same problem you're running into. Joe, who is 6'5", wasn't seeing the field. Wasn't seeing the field because I think that maybe some guys weren't where they were supposed to be, or also he's probably just not the same type of quarterback he used to be, and maybe he was seeing some ghosts out there. Dylan, it's not even that he sees ghosts, Danny. He's already at a disadvantage because of it.
Correct. And I do think, too, there's something to be said about a young guy, regardless of his size, not being comfortable in a crowded pocket the way that Joe Flacco would be. Now, Joe's mobility was obviously an issue, but that is something that you have an advantage with Dylan Gabriel. If you do get him outside, and part of this, I do think most of it's on play calling, but running the football more would have given them, I think, more opportunities to set up pockets elsewhere as opposed to just your standard drop back one, because they couldn't handle what the Steelers had on the edge, which is really what made it difficult for them, which I think was a schematic issue because they were asking their tackles to do a lot against TJ Watt, against the other edge rushers that Pittsburgh had. Like, that was a big issue there. And I do think that you could move the pocket more if you were able to run the ball a little bit more effectively, maybe not even more effectively, a little bit more frequently, I think would have been the way to go about it. So I do think that is the one area where I look at the play calling. It's not that he dropped back to pack 58 times. It's that he dropped back 58 times. He didn't roll out 30 times. He wasn't put on the move. He wasn't given these gimme quick throws. Part of it's because the Browns couldn't find success elsewhere, but part of it is certainly on play calling and execution.
So that's
so gritty.
That's all said, and I love getting gritty. If they lose on Sunday, now it was when I went to Little Italy yesterday. It was the talk of the town, and several people, Ken, we got to get rid of this guy. We got to, okay. You ain't gonna like what I have to say. Why? I don't think it's a real conversation in the building about letting Kevin go. Now, I think it probably is a real conversation if they lose to Miami. Miami is a bad culture right now. You're trying to hold it together, but if you're 1-6 after you lose to Miami, I think you have to go and play bad to lose to Miami.
You don't think it's a conversation about letting him go in season or about
I think
right
it's a
now,
conversation about in season if they go and they lose to the Dolphins.
So I think with where things are at right now, I think everybody sees where this is going. Unless things change in a positive direction between now and the end of the season, I think everybody knows where this is going the day after the regular season ends. If they lose to Miami, I think that timeline gets sped up a little bit. I think that is what can happen. And I don't know that he gets fired on Monday should they lose to Miami, but I look at this game and say, unless you win this game, and this is true not only for the Browns, but I think for the Dolphins as well, unless you win this game, your future is absolutely sealed. If the Browns lose this game, Kevin Stefanski is going to be fired. It might not be the day after the game. It might not be a week after the game, but he is going to be fired in the near future. And if the Dolphins lose this game, Mike McDaniel is probably getting fired the next day.
If I let him go, if Jimmy Haslam were to let him go, what am I fixing, though?
Nothing.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Well, that's one of the issues.
Because I look at this, and we can all blame a lot of different people, which is a big part of the problem. While I have certainly cooled on Kevin Stefanski as a head coach because I have been one of the more stout Kevin Stefanski defenders over the years, and I have come off that position a little bit, I still don't think he's the biggest problem. I still think there are bigger problems.
What is the biggest problem?
I think the roster's terrible.
That's an Andrew Berry situation.
Correct. Yes. I think Andrew Berry is a much bigger problem than Kevin Stefanski, but Kevin Stefanski is the guy we see on the sidelines every Sunday, and fans want their pound of flesh, and Kevin Stefanski is that guy.
Now you make me want to ask who's the bigger problem. Maybe that's coming up at 9 o'clock. Coming up next, the Neutral Zone with Rat Boy and the Hog. Ken Carman, Danny in for Tone on the Fan. KC Roofing.
Air Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. It's time for the Neutral Zone with Rat Boy and the Hog. Crank it up and rip off the knob.
All right, guys, week 6 of the NFL season is in the books. And with that, yesterday we had the first instance of this happening this year in the NFL. The 2 magic words.
You're fired!
The Brian Callahan experiment in Tennessee is over after a 4-19 stretch. The Titans 1-5 on this season. Now, what got my attention yesterday was the press conference that featured some of the Titans brass, and they were asked why the absence of their owner.
Where is she right now?
Where? What do you mean?
Where's Amy Adams Strunk right now?
Yeah, she's at her home.
Why isn't she here?
That was the president.
I'm here representing her.
That was the president of football operations. That was just a tough look for the Titans.
That's horrific. That's absolutely horrific. I'll lead this one off, Danny, because I'm very passionate about this. Like Jimmy has, and we always make the joke when he fires a coach, he's up against the cinder block wall
in Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh, it's always this thing like it's this camera. It's almost out of a movie where he's backed up against the wall and he's answering questions and. I've always all the press conference people. That's a terrible look. Like you got to be there when you fire your coach, unless she is ill. Do we know if she's taken ill or anything like that?
Not currently, no.
Okay, so unless she's taken ill, if she's healthy, I have no idea. You gotta be there.
She was sick of Brian Callahan.
She was that, but I think if you make this decision as the owner, because ultimately you're the one that has that call. You have to be there to talk. And we have gotten to the point where owners so other than Jerry Jones, so rarely speak with the media, so rarely. And speaking with the media is not the big deal. It's speaking to your fans, right? Because there are so many Tennessee Titans fans today that don't have the answers from ownership that they do deserve as fans. And that, to me, is the big issue here.
Well, also, you just took a quarterback in the draft. And so now I don't know whether he's coming or going or what your plans are to do there. As far as helping him out, this season is lost.
Who was the last number 1 overall pick at quarterback that didn't have their coach fired?
Wait a minute. I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Last few have.
I keep thinking about
Caleb
it.
Williams did.
Yeah, well, because they just don't want to believe. And the timelines are off. Yo, Joe Burrow. Yeah, that's the last one. Joe Burrow. Because they never fire anybody.
A long time ago.
The timelines are always off. They never want to fire him. It's like, guys, now you'll have 3 coaches in 2 years for Cam Ward, a guy who was good in college and who I wanted to take. I would have taken, but now you're putting him behind the 8 ball, and you don't know where you're coming or going. Like that doesn't add to success. So your decision, I know it's a 1-year thing. You needed to figure out whether or not you were going to hold on to this guy at the end of last year. And if you had any questions, which just means you would have questions, if you're doing it this early. That means that you are putting your team in a hell of a predicament. See, this is where it's like if you go out and you get a new quarterback next year, which you probably will at some juncture in the draft, if you go out and you get a new quarterback this year, then I'm sorry, you can't just sit there and say, well, Kevin's going to come back, but he might only be. But that's rewriting the Hugh Jackson history or reliving the Hugh Jackson history, and that cost Baker Mayfield in the long run. You think about this: if they would have let go of Hugh Jackson, I'll leave it here. After the 2017 season, if they let go of Hugh Jackson, they don't hire Freddie Kitchens, they probably hire Kevin Stefanski. They probably still hire him. Now he's here, maybe he still wouldn't be here, but will we have any of the toxicity that's happened? Because you wouldn't have had Freddie to go down the bad road. Possibly, I'm not sure. I would imagine maybe.
Because I think if that were the case, I think that's the bigger sliding doors. If they make the correct head coaching hire there, because Freddie Kitchens was an absolute disaster. If they don't hire Freddie Kitchens, say they hire Kevin Stefanski, which I believe was the number 2 guy that year, or they hire somebody else that works out similar to the way that Kevin Stefanski has worked out this year aside, I think John Dorsey's still the GM of this team.
I know you want to get other things in, but you still would have made a better, more informed decision than either A, hiring a guy because you wanted the power, which is probably closer to the truth, or B, letting Baker have that much power over the hiring of his head coach, which he was not ready to make that decision yet. Go ahead.
We will see what becomes of Kevin Stefanski's future potentially as soon as this Sunday after the end of the Browns-Dolphins game. Now, Miami also struggling this year. They've been having player meetings since like week 2 of the season. And according to Tua Tagovailoa this past Sunday, not everyone's showing up, at least not on time.
I think it starts with the leadership in helping articulate that for the guys, what we're expecting out of the guys. Are we getting that? Are we not getting that? We have guys showing up to player-only meetings late, guys not showing up to player-only meetings. Like, there's a lot that goes into that. Do we have to make this mandatory? Do we not have to make this mandatory? It's a lot of things of that nature that we got to get cleaned up, and it starts with the little things like that.
Now, Mike McDaniel spoke yesterday, calling to his comments misguided, but he says he has been in contact with his teammates since then to try and resolve the matter.
I think that this is a very fair point that no matter what, it can almost always be worse than it is here. Because right now, I would rather be the Browns than the Dolphins. Not by much, but I would rather be the Browns than the Dolphins right now. Now, if you are 0-16 the way the Browns were back in 2017, it doesn't get worse than that, admittedly. But right now, it is worse in Miami. I think their situation is a worse situation, not only right now, probably moving forward as well, because I do think that as bad as it's gotten here, I don't think that Kevin Stefanski has lost the locker room yet. And what Myles Garrett said in terms of, it must be nice to play with a lead, I think is different than your starting quarterback calling out essentially your entire roster.
I just think of this. They got to win this game. Browns got to win this game.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a locker room that is coming apart in Miami, and I think we're starting to see some of the water come through the walls a little bit with the Browns. But this is falling apart. They've already had player-only meetings. Like, you got to get this win. Like, you need air. Go ahead, Mitch.
Well, our last thing here is on Sunday night, the primetime matchup between the Chiefs and the Lions was a great game. The Chiefs ended up winning 30-17, but the story that everybody was talking about was happened after the final seconds were ticking off the clock.
Kansas City gets the victory, 30-17. We got a little fight here, a little altercation going on. I don't know what started it.
Well, Brian Branch was involved in something, and there was a little exchange, and then people came running. I think that was Juju Smith-Schuster who came running into that.
End of the game there, Branch walking by. Mahomes extends the hand to him. Branch doesn't respond, doesn't put his hand out. Kind of like Juju Smith-Schuster saw that, and then Branch and Juju continue to pass by, and he gives Juju a shot, who goes down, and that's where the whole thing began.
That audio courtesy of NBC there. Branch did end up getting a 1-game suspension for his part in that scrum between the Chiefs and Lions.
Can't start a fight after the game. I completely agree with it. I understand that there was probably some trash talk. I know some Lions fans tried to stick up for Brian Branch on the internet. Still can't do that in a post game. It's a bad look. NFL obviously is going to hate it. Had to happen. Had to suspend him for it.
And I'll tell you what, I love the way that Dan Campbell handled it, too, from a Lions perspective. I love what he said after the game, where he said, I love Brian Branch, but that is completely unacceptable and will not be tolerated. That is the way a leader handles that type of thing.
Another thing on the docket here, we have the Indianapolis Colts at 5-1 on this season after their win over the Arizona Cardinals this year. This has been a revelation for Indianapolis. Daniel Jones has been arguably a comeback player of the year candidate. Now, here's the thing. Is this team legitimate? Because you're playing in a weaker AFC South. A lot of the teams have been underachieving this year. Do you guys take any stock in Indianapolis currently going into week 7 of this season?
How could you not?
Right.
AFC's messed up this year. Some people are still giving whoa, when Lamar comes back. And the only reason they're giving Lamar coming back and having a chance is because the AFC is such a mess.
Well, and their schedule coming up. The Ravens are going to win their next 5 games. The Ravens' schedule until they play Pittsburgh in December is so soft.
It's not just Lamar coming back. You got to get other guys healthy as well. You're talking about trading guys already. With 1-5, I don't know. Fine, if they have a chance, that's okay. But I think I look at the Colts. By the way, did he have a serious injury last year? Did Daniel Jones have a serious injury last year at all?
Daniel Jones, I know he had some injury struggles.
Playing in that situation was a serious injury.
Comeback player of the year. Do you come back from sucking?
Yes.
I think that's part of it.
I think you can.
Joe Flacco did.
We've gotten so accustomed to it being like an injury or maybe like a retirement award, that we don't give it to guys nowadays who just go from terrible one year to actually really good the next.
But I mean, Daniel
they
Jones
changed the rules on that too
They did,
after
yeah.
Flacco won it over DeMar Hamlin.
Daniel Jones tore his
Forgot
ACL
about
2
that
years ago,
Yes,
right?
November 2023.
So I do. Right, it's 2
I'm
years
listening.
ago.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I do think there's something to be said that you're not all the way back until 18 months after that type of injury.
Because nobody thought Daniel Jones was going to be a starter quarterback in the NFL again, otherwise by default in Indianapolis.
So
And
you're
that's
telling
it.
me Deshaun Watson is vying for comeback player of the year in 2026?
That's it
It
for the
ain't gonna
neutral
be in
zone.
Cleveland.
That's it for the neutral zone with Ratboy and the Hog.
Coming up in a little bit, we'll go surf siding with the Cavs because we have a Cavs writer here. Even though he's a football guy, he's still a Cavs writer, Danny Cunningham here. And a sad question of either or. Oh, it's so sad. It's coming up in 5 minutes on The Fan.
Sports Desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
92.3 The Fan is looking for a winner. Enter the code word radio, that is RADIO, at 923thefan.com before 10 a.m. for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Rush 50-something tour September 17th and 19th, 2026 at Rocket Arena. Tickets are available at rocketarena.com. It's all from Live Nation and Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Surfside with the Cavs coming up at around 9:22. 216-474-0092. So it's a sad question to either or. Social media reactions brought to you by Scheib & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. 9:01 and 30 seconds for those scoring at home. Frisco had written something here. He said, was able to listen to the first segment this morning with Ken, Carman, and Danny. And I'll say this. Tomlin wasn't defending, he calls him camp counselor Kev, at all. Just calling out the incompetence of the GM and the organization in general. That's possible. It is possible. I do think that there are a lot of coaches that nitpick each other, that will poke and prod, and they're very petty. It's a very close group, very petty group. But I also think that some guys will defend each other. And I think, Kevin, some people, well, he's guaranteed a win every year. Well, historically, he's also been guaranteed a loss by Browns head coaches, or by Kevin Stefanski every year. And he also lost to a Kevin Stefanski team. I know it was a different guy on the sideline, a Kevin Stefanski team in the postseason. So maybe if it or anything, he'd say, Kevin doesn't know what he's doing, and I wouldn't be surprised they let go of him. Because, hey, you used to beat him every single year and sweep him every single year. And then Kevin came here, and it's been basically a split, even with that 3-14 team. Right. We won one in the snow against him last year. So I know we want to rip Kevin up and down because they lost the game. We only got to call fair is fair, which brings up another point. You brought this up at around 8:33, and I went, oh, gosh, this is a big thing, but we got to get going here because we have Rat Boy and the Hog in the neutral zone. But now I can ask it in earnest. Who's the bigger problem? Is it Andrew Berry or is it Kevin Stefanski with this team?
I think it's Andrew Berry. I think that the talent.
Tell me why.
I think the talent on this team assembled has not been good enough, and that is across all levels. And yes, we have to sit here and say that the 2025 draft that Andrew Berry had looks like a smashing success. It looks like they have a lot of guys that are going to be good players in the NFL for a long time. However, I think a lot of what he has done in years leading up to that has put us in the results that we are in right now. Even if you don't want to put the Deshaun Watson trade, which I think is the worst trade in the history of this sport, if you want to put that on ownership and not on Andrew Berry, okay, I can get on board with that too. But I think there have been a lot of shortcomings in other areas of talent acquisition that have led the Browns to be where they are right now. Why has this offensive line gotten so bad? Are you telling me that because Bill Callahan's not here, the offensive line is this horrific? I'm not saying it needs to be the best, but it shouldn't be this bad. How come you have not been able to find a young receiver that doesn't need to be making a lot of money that's serviceable? I'm not asking for Justin Jefferson. I'm not asking for Jamar Chase. I'm asking for average. And you can't even get that out of the receiver position unless you make a trade for it. And that only lasts so long. And Jerry Jeudy is not even as good as Amari Cooper was when Amari Cooper first got here. Like, I will give Andrew Berry credit where it's due, but he has overall, I think, done a worse job than Kevin Stefanski. And I'm not going to sit here and try and sell you that Kevin Stefanski is Vince Lombardi or Bill Cowher or whatever Super Bowl winning coach you want to name, because he's not been that good this year either. Mm-hmm. But I also look at the totality of things and say, you know what? I think over the course of how long they have been in Cleveland, Kevin Stefanski has done a much better job at what he is asked to do than Andrew Berry has at what he is asked to do.
It's a tough answer because I think that both certainly have their flaws, and I've been exposed more to Kevin's flaws here over the last few weeks than I ever thought I cared to be, because the offense is stagnant. The offensive scheme of what is done is stagnant. I don't know if the pieces would make it better, because you brought up the offensive line. We got to understand is that whether Shedeur goes in and plays well this year and ends up being the quarterback going into next year, which is probably unlikely, or if it's a rookie next year or whoever, you're probably going to have a rookie offensive lineman or two starting on your offensive line, which is scary considering that, we make a big deal about quarterback play in this league because that's what people care about. Offensive line play is even scarier than quarterback play. These guys are coming out and they are somehow just not ready. I think part of it is because they're hitting the transfer portal too, and you got some guys who are good offensive line coaches who knew exactly what the hell they were doing. You mentioned Bill Callahan. I'll talk more about him coming up at 9:22 and the chances of bringing him back. But there's plenty of guys, and we saw that last year, who don't know their ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to offensive line play at that level, and you have a real problem on your hands. And that's terrifying. So that's not an argument for Andrew Berry because you set us up to be in this situation. I know your thought partners, but you set us up to be in this situation. You took Jed Wills. Jed Wills was replaced by a fourth-round guy. Thought we'd be able to do it, except the fourth-round guy who's got a good heart. Boy, can't stay healthy, so we have ourselves a problem with the young man, and now we got to think about going in a different direction. Hate to say it, but it's true, because I love DeJuan Jones. But this is year 3, and the poor kid can't stay healthy, and so we got ourselves a problem. Then I look at what you've done with the rest of the positions when it comes to weaponry. Running back, seems that you've done a good job. It's results-based. It's results-based. Wide receiver, you've traded for a good one. You've got a good season out of another one you've traded. Your drafts have not been good.
Terrible. That is the worst thing he's done is try and draft wide receivers.
There
has been... How many serviceable wide receivers has Andrew Berry drafted? Not even good. Serviceable. Replacement level.
If you go...
Because Cedric Tillman's not that.
If you go... No. But if you go to some of these drafts, and I'm not just going to bring... Like, Stephon Diggs was a 5th-round guy. Okay, well, special, and Stephon Diggs was special. But there's guys exactly what you said who are serviceable, good enough wide receivers. Now, because of our situation, maybe they end up being forced to be a number 1 or a number 2 on a team that they're not supposed to be a number 1 or a number 2. Okay, fair is fair. But again, who puts together the roster? And then I do think that there's a lot of people out there that just aren't going to forgive him for the whole Deshaun Watson thing, and I would probably say rightfully so. I mean, you made that bed, now we all have to lay in it. All that, though, is not a defense of what Kevin Stefanski has done here recently, which hasn't been winning or hasn't been getting the offense going. So it is very difficult for me to say who's the bigger problem, because if you move on from one of them during the season, I don't think you're going to be satiated. Some people might be fine, but you're just going to say bad things about Bubba Ventrone or Jim Schwartz, who were to take over the team, because I just don't think the team's very good.
Correct. And that, Ken, gets me to where I believe the most. The Jimmies and the Joes are going to matter more than the X's and the O's. They are. The guys playing the game matter more than the schemes. You can do a lot of good stuff with schemes. You can hide some stuff. But ultimately, you can only do as much as your talent allows you to do. And right now, the Browns don't have talent.
Let me get to Murphy in Cleveland. Hello, Murphy. Murphy just dropped. There he is. Hello. Go, Murphy. Go. I'm sorry.
Good morning, boys. Yeah, so I'm not sure we're asking the right question here, and we can argue all day about it.
Ask the right question. Ask the right question, then.
I don't think there was anything about that game plan on Sunday that showed Kevin wanted to win that game. One thing you could argue about this whole operation, I mean, it might be
reckless
now.
Speculation.
Okay, continue, Murphy.
So we all agree that Kevin's a smart guy, right? I think he was the perfect guy to get us through the season with COVID, things like that. There's no way you have a situation where you're dropping that kid back 50 times to pass the ball, given our tackle situations. You're first and goal on the 3-yard line, and you take Junkins out of the game. I think everything about how Gabriel would perform under these circumstances. I just don't think there was anything about... You look at the way he called the game with Flacco in week 1, and he had a lot of short screens and things like there were extensions of the run. I think he was in it to win it in some of the game plans. This past game plan, no way. I think they wanted to see what that kid had on the road in Pittsburgh, because I cannot believe Kevin, even though I think he has his faults, he is that dumb to not change the game plan more than he did and not run the ball 6.
Murphy, thank you very much for the call. You're breaking up there.
There's nothing that shows that Murphy wanted to complete that call.
I don't think that... Are we alleging that he lost the game on purpose, helped lose the game on purpose? Is that what we're alleging here?
Okay, this might be a Galaxy Brain take thing. Remember Baker's last game with the Browns?
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's unforgettable.
It looks very similar.
Game, yeah.
It looks very similar to what we saw this past week in terms of a game plan. And there is part of me that thinks, a big part of me, that thinks that last game Baker played with the Browns was Kevin Stefanski saying, you want to do it your way? Fine, we'll do it your way. Is this him saying to Andrew Berry, you want to do it your way? We'll do it your way. You want to get rid of the quarterback? I believe that I can do this.
Who wants to drop back 58 times?
Just one
Andrew
more
Berry's the one that traded Joe Flacco.
Who wants to drop back 58 times?
Andrew Berry. It's not dropping back 58 times. It's getting rid of the quarterback that Kevin believed he could win a little bit with.
Wait a minute. Who led the charge to take Dylan Gabriel then? Doesn't Kevin love Dylan Gabriel?
I would think. I don't think Kevin loves Dylan Gabriel week 6 against the Steelers.
Why? Hold on. Why would you then, if Kevin likes Dylan Gabriel, let's go step by step here, Owen. Kevin likes Dylan Gabriel. Why would you take a quarterback that everybody and their brother believes that you were the one who really, really liked? Why would you take him and torpedo him to prove a point? What point are you trying to prove?
That he is being set up for failure.
Then get rid of everybody, because I'm not doing petty games between the owner between the general manager and the head coach. I've done that before. The cycle's repeating itself. There's no way.
We might be there.
You have to go back a week, then.
If that's true, I don't believe that's true whatsoever. Because if that's true, then I've never called for people to be let go ever. If that were to be true, then to hell with it. Well, I'm not doing that. If they're going out there and they actually agree with one another, and we can all look at it and go, "Gosh, you guys are crazy." Fine, at least they agree with one another. I'm not taking a QB that already has shortcomings and putting him in a bad spot just to zing Andrew Berry. You do that? No, you got to go. You got to go. Because now you're messing with the rest of the team. You're messing with the fan base.
He didn't do that.
You're messing with our
Minnesota.
emotions. No.
He didn't do that against Minnesota. Are you saying that Andrew Berry forced him into playing?
No, I mean, he did not.
Against Minnesota?
I thought the game against Minnesota was the worst coach game maybe that Kevin Stefanski has had.
Okay.
It looked different than this past week.
Danny,
I think it's fair to say.
Danny, listen to what you're saying. I mean, that's treasonous.
I told you it was a galaxy brain take.
That's treasonous.
It's
I told you it was a galaxy brain take.
It's not galaxy brain. I'm struggling to not call it something else. If it were Tone, I'd say something else. But I like you too much, and I don't know if you
like
take
him?
it. What?
You don't like Tone?
I have a history of saying things to Tone and then accidentally saying it to other people, and then they won't talk to me again. And I don't want to do that with you. Hey, has it not happened in the studio during the show before?
Every day of my life.
It's happened in the studio with other people co-hosting the show before.
I've tried to not talk to him for 12 years.
Not you, Owen.
Yeah.
You were in here the day it happened with the one person.
I've been here a lot of times.
And he's never been
I'll
back.
write the book one day.
I'll read it.
What's it going to be called? Throne Staplers?
Oh, yeah.
That's nuts.
Probably,
Danny, that's
but
nuts.
can you rule it out?
Yes.
I don't know that
I'm
you can rule it
going to
out.
rule out that Kevin Stefanski wouldn't be so petty and irresponsible to the organization that he has to help run. No, I'm not. You're just making yourself look bad. You're just making yourself look bad.
They all look bad anyways.
Not just you. I'm talking about him.
Yeah,
I don't like to take, so you're making yourself look bad. But when it comes to Kevin, why would I make myself look bad in front of all these fans? I'm not gonna throw my own name through the mud and let people think that I'm a terrible coach.
Through the mud anyways.
But Kevin at least still has the dignity of believing that he's a good football coach. And apparently there's still plenty of people. Now that number is getting shorter, but there's still plenty of people around the league that also believe he's a good football coach. I'm not going to, no.
I have two questions for Danny.
What?
Danny, do you believe these last two coached games by Kevin Stefanski were the worst coach games of his career? With the Browns.
I think Minnesota might be.
Okay.
I don't know that
you
this
don't
past
think that last
week
was a bad. Okay.
I
So
just
you
think that
agreed
there's
with
such
58
I thought there was such a talent discrepancy this week. I didn't think it was
dropbacks that.
I don't think it was
will overcome
anywhere near
talent
the best coach game that he's had with the Browns. I think it was far away from that, but I think I had a bigger issue with the way that he handled things in London against Minnesota than he did against Pittsburgh.
Now, do you think he did that on purpose?
No. I told you it was a galaxy brain take.
Well, you can't just say galaxy brain take and say it and then
it
just
came out of your mouth. You own it now.
Yeah, you have to own it. You have to own it.
I told you what it was before I said
can't
it.
go, I'm stupid, so here's my
Yeah,
stupid.
you can't just say I'm going to be stupid and I'll be stupid. No, you say devil's advocate or something like that.
I said
you
galaxy
can't just
brain
say
take.
that.
Anything you want to say, it came out of your mouth with your vocal cords.
Sure as I can.
You now own that.
So if I get all these calls
the thoughts
here,
and opinions of Danny Cunningham or Danny Cunningham's and maybe any of his other employers, but not Owen.
So if I go to all these calls here and they start disagreeing with you, you're not going to back up what you said? You're not going to argue with these fun folks?
I didn't even say that I agreed with what I said. I told you it was a Galaxy Brain take.
Danny?
I told you what it was.
There's lots of stupid things that come to my head that I'm not going to say in front of people because I know it's embarrassing.
So if I would have said Devil's Advocate
but you just said it on the radio, so that means you own the take. You just said it on the radio, so that means they're going to show a video, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to get cussed out the whole day.
That's fine.
Because people are going to think that you said it.
That's fine. I won't read my mentions. I'll live. I'll be fine.
I'm going to call you and read them to you.
Okay. Who am I, Pony? Because I know you do that with him.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. It's true. Because he doesn't look at him, and he deserves to look at some of them. Some of them are really nasty.
Oh, I've read them.
And those are the ones I will
read at time when things are going bad in Pittsburgh, I will scroll his feed and his mentions.
216-474-0092. Would he... I don't even know what I was asking who the bigger problem was, and I got to tell people my
Danny Cunningham
answer on the Bill Callahan question. But Danny, if anybody actually believes that, right now, that's insanity.
This Danny is spot on.
No, you're kidding me.
Real D Cunningham and that caller
Who's
are
saying
onto
that?
something.
Dennis 6969.
No, not Dennis 6969.
Firecrotch 84.
No.
Who is it?
Bats Baseball Club. Danny Cunningham is 100% correct about Stefanski trying to prove a point.
Danny, I'm going to turn off your mic until we Surfside here in a couple of minutes.
He would try to prove a point in winning a game. He's not. No one is losing. You're not going to lose a game on purpose to prove a point. You're not going to put yourself in a bad position just to prove a point.
I think my mentions are going to be better than you anticipate them being.
Because you guys are just trying to figure out any way that a guy who seemed to have common sense would drop a quarterback back 58 times. You're trying to figure out any way you would have that terrible use of the clock at the end of the football game. Can't we see that this is a man who used to have common sense who's now acting desperately? That's why some of the stuff that people are saying, and this ain't no galaxy brain thought, that's why some of the stuff that people are saying that I think is starting to seep in and starting to be true, that he might be under a little bit more of the gun than we think he is. Because it's been 2 weeks where we've been doing some silly stuff. And you can't just say, well, the Steelers took away Quinshon Judkins. You ran the ball 12 times with him. How do I even give it a chance for him to take it away? And the last run he had, you went out and got a gain, didn't you? You got a first down. Didn't even give him a chance. 58 dropbacks. It does seem pretty silly.
It was.
But I'm not going to make up crazy things to justify what he's doing. That sounds nuts. And then you're like kind of running away like, oh, I just said it was a galaxy brain.
I did. If I would have said the word devil's advocate instead, this whole segment would have been handled differently.
216-474-0092.
I
Ken
would have
Carman,
hated you for it.
Danny
That's
in for
fine.
Tone.
You can hate me for whatever you want.
Live on the Fan. Window Nation at windownation.com.
by the hour or jump straight to the highlights. Just open up your favorite podcast app, search our names, and hit the follow button to get every minute of the show. Your way and on your time.
Miss one day and you miss a lot. We are the radio home of the Cleveland Browns.
Here we go, Brownies! Here we go!
92.3 The Fan.
It's time to Surfside with the Cavs. Danny, you got the read?
No. It's Surfside Cavs Report brought to you by Surfside. There you go.
It's a Surfside Cavs Report brought to you by Surfside. Cavs take
we'll
on.
say that again at the end, Danny.
Cavs take on Detroit tonight. We're gonna get. Don't you think I'm letting you off the hook for that craziness that you're like?
That everyone agrees with me with online.
Okay, then okay. Hold on. Do the Cavs thing. You got to do the Cavs thing. What are you looking for tonight in the game against the Pistons?
I think it would be a good idea to play the starter caliber minutes. Like, I would like to see Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen and DeAndre Hunter play 30-plus minutes in this game. Last year in their final preseason game, they did do that. They handled it similar to a regular season game, and I think that should be part of the plan tonight as they gear up for the regular season begin a week from tomorrow in New York. I would also like to see them make some shots. Like, they have shot the ball from beyond the arc very poorly so far in the preseason, and that is obviously a big staple of their offense. We expect them to be near the top of the league in three-point accuracy again this year, the same way they were last year. Okay. And maybe it is just, hey, it's preseason and there's nothing to see here. But I do think them having a good night from beyond the arc would go a long way into this team stepping into the regular season with a lot of confidence. I think that'd be a good thing for them. And the last thing I'd like to see is Lonzo Ball have a good night. Like, I think that in the two preseason games that he's played, he has not necessarily looked incredibly comfortable with his new teammates and the new offensive system that he's playing in compared to what he has had in Chicago before. And I do think that he is still sort of knocking off rust after playing 70 games over the course of 4 years. So he is the guy that I think can do a lot of really, really good things for this team. I think he can bring the best out of Evan Mobley and some of those second units that I would anticipate Mobley to be part of.
Okay.
So I think seeing the Cavs make some shots tonight, having Lonzo have a good game, and seeing the starters play starters minutes is what I am looking for tonight against Detroit.
Outstanding. And that's the Surfside Cavs Report brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside. It's fantastic. Now, before we get to this clip of Danny and I getting into it, which I just wrote down.
Here's the Galaxy Brain Report brought to you by Dan.
Hold on. Just one moment. We've been getting a lot of questions about Bill Callahan. I said I would answer this in this segment. There would be a possibility you could bring him on as a senior assistant or a analyst of some sort if he were to walk away from the Tennessee Titans.
I thought he did leave the Titans.
Somebody said that he would be leave. I don't think has it been officially announced? I haven't seen anything official yet. It was that sources were close. I think it was Paul Kaharski.
Yeah, that's what I saw yesterday.
That he was going to be going, but I don't know if it's official yet. So if Bill Callahan is leaving, then yes, they could hire Bill Callahan as an analyst. Now, I don't know if they're necessarily going to do that. Mike Bloomgren is well regarded as an offensive line coach. He's not done bad with the offensive line. I don't think that the Lord and Savior could get good play out of the left tackle spot
Bill's
right
playing
now.
left tackle then.
Yes. So again, they're coaches, they're not magicians.
Correct.
So you've had a good offensive line in the past. We just probably didn't know it because Bill Callahan is extremely talented at what he does. And so you got those guys going in the right direction. You can only get them. There's guys who can reach from point A to point B, but there's a lot of guys who maybe you only get them as far as they can to point B. And so you got to figure out a way to try to bring point B to them. And so you got to do a lot of different things. And that's a week-by-week game plan for guys. Because if you can't get out and kick out somebody or anything like that, depending on the player, then you can't run that play. And you're not going to have success. So I don't know right now. Like last year, I knew it wasn't working out with Andy Dickerson.
Right.
I knew straight up and down from my own evidence with my own eyes it wasn't working out with that guy. Now, I knew that they were doing the Roy Istvan thing. I did not realize that Mike Vrabel was basically becoming the offensive line coach in so many ways. That threw me for a loop at the end of the year. When it comes to Mike Bloomgren, I don't think he's doing a bad job. I think he's doing the best job he can. I don't think the wheels are coming off or anything in that case. I think as a team, they're 1-5, so they are what they are. Any good coach is going to be able to help. But again, Bill Callahan's not a magician, so he's not going to take KT Levinson and turn him into Joe or even turn him into Jed. He's still going to be that guy.
I hate to even ask this question about a room that does have Joel Bitonio, who is, I think, one of the most respected Browns since 99.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a room right now with less talent in it? Like a position room right now with less talent in it in Berea than the Browns offensive line?
Yeah, look at the wide receiver room.
I think it's close. Like, I think it's a closer discussion than we would like it to be.
Well, I don't.
I think wide receivers.
I mean, if you want to have a great big race to the bottom, that's fine. But
I mean, they are 1 and 2. There's certain, you can give me wide receiver. I don't think other than that, there's another room that's close.
What about the quarterback room?
I think that's TBD. I don't feel good, but I think that's TBD.
You don't want to say TBD because you have some hope of sitting out for Shedeur, don't you?
I have hope for Shedeur.
That's okay. I'm the same way. I just want to make sure you were. Yeah, I'm the same way as you.
So I think that's why it's TBD. Now, if Shedeur comes and if he flops the way that he might,
then you're going to change your answer.
Then that answer changes, but we don't have that data to know. We know the wide receiver room is bad. We know the offensive line room is bad. The quarterback room, we suspect might not be good, but we don't know yet for sure that it's bad.
You see what you're doing is you're trying to run away from this take that I'm not going to let you out from.
What take?
Go ahead.
Okay, this might be a Galaxy Brain take thing. Remember Baker's last game with the Browns in Pittsburgh? It looks very similar to what we saw this past week in terms of a game plan. There is part of me that thinks, a big part of me, that thinks that last game Baker played with the Browns was Kevin Stefanski saying, you want to do it your way? Fine, we'll do it your way. Is this him saying to Andrew Berry, you want to get rid of the quarterback? I believe that I can do this?
Who wants to drop back 58 times?
I didn't even say that I agreed with what I said. I told you it was a Galaxy Brain take.
Danny?
I told you what it was.
You just said it on the radio, so that means they're going to show a video, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to get cussed out the whole day.
That's fine.
Because people are going to think that you said it. What bothers me, though, is that it's ridiculous because you can't then turn around and say in this segment, everyone agrees with me online. You can't run away from a take and then say that everybody agrees with me online.
I haven't run away from it. I said it was a Galaxy Brain take.
You said it's a Galaxy Brain take, and then you tried to abandon it. You tried to orphan this opinion, and then you got everybody saying it. So is it? Are you a full-time father of the take, or are you not? Are you a deadbeat of this opinion, or what are you going to do?
You can say it's ridiculous, and it very well might be, but it's the Browns. So it's not ridiculous.
What's that got to do with the price of fish? Guys, just because of the Browns, it's the Browns, does not absolve it of being ridiculous. In fact, quite the contrary. You can look at real life. That's what the Browns do to people. That always throws me off. And that what always bothers me. You know what you're seeing is bad. Don't try to wrap your mind around it. Don't try to make excuses for it. Leave that to the offseason. Leave that to the preseason and getting excited to it. But what we're seeing in real time, no. You cannot just say, well, it could be possible it's the Browns. You can say anything that could be possible for the Browns. Look at all the stuff that they've done over the last umpteen years. No, Danny, you're either saying it or you ain't saying it. And if you ain't saying it, then I don't want to hear about any of the people who, quote unquote, agree with you online.
There are more people that think that than you think.
They can say, that's fine. They can call in and they can have the opinion. They can claim the opinion because you're not claiming it. You say you thought of it. Okay, well, let's see. What if you end up being right? What are you going to do then, Danny?
I will take my victory lap.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you on this show, and I will make sure I call into other shows to make sure you can't take your victory lap. Because you had your chance. You had your chance to stand in here and get the foxhole and argue with me about this insane Prince
I don't think
that he would do such a thing.
Why
would you torpedo your own quarterback that everybody believes you like?
I don't think it's dropping back 58 times. I think it's the game plan in total. That was
we're going to try and throw the game plan was. Yeah. Maybe it was just sucks at what the game plan was.
I mean, maybe.
There is a possibility he just came up with the wrong game plan. He wasn't very good at it.
That is absolutely a possibility. But it's also a possibility that said, hey, you want to trade away the quarterback I thought we could win with after trading away the other quarterback I thought we could win with, because it wasn't just one. It wasn't just one quarterback that Andrew Berry did this. And then when Mike Tomlin makes the comments that he made yesterday about Andrew Berry, you know what Kevin Stefanski could have done yesterday when he was asked that question by Daryl?
What?
And Kevin Stefanski said, you know what? I'm not going to comment on that. He could have defended Andrew Berry, and he didn't. He could have stepped up and said something that, this is a collaborative decision. We do all these things. Instead, He said, I'm not going to comment on
That's
that.
it.
He could have defended Andrew Berry yesterday. His thought partner. He could have, and he didn't.
No.
He could have and chose not to.
It would be the most selfish thing ever. You cannot do that. That's ridiculous. No. 216-474-0092. Ben in Columbus, hello.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
I was doing well until I heard a crazy opinion, then I heard a guy back away from the opinion and then try to take the opinion back.
Yeah, Cleveland radio. But so yeah, I wanted to go back to your talk earlier this week. Fire Stefanski and I think you're at a point. I was going to call in, and my boss walked into my office, so now I'm waiting a couple of days later. But
it was only yesterday.
I think you're at the same point, or yesterday. Sorry. I think you're at the point where you were with Sashi. Do you have enough assets this offseason? Do you trust these guys for 3 to 5 years? Because that's what you're looking at if you give it to them. Mm-hmm. And I think you move on from everybody. I think you now have a good partner in your front office, your ownership group with Charles Woodson. He's got a good Rolodex of contacts. You could have him do the DePodesta role during the search. And then, I think you run it back with that same process you used with Kevin. Hire the coach, have him pick his GM, and then get out of the way. Sometimes a good process just has a bad result. And, that's what happened here. But I don't have any disagreements with them running it back, getting the coach, and then, having them hire their GM and just bringing in a new brain trust. The fire sale's coming. You need a new set of eyes on the roster. And I think with both Kevin and Andrew, you're going to have some of that my guy syndrome with guys like Jack Conklin and Dylan Gabriel, who maybe don't deserve to be part of the future.
I don't think that Charles Woodson has ever had any role in anything having to do with front office, has he?
Sorry, ownership group. I misspoke.
Well, either way, yeah,
he's a minority owner.
Okay,
he's kind of like Tom Brady is with the Raiders as far as minority ownership.
No,
he's Tom Brady.
You think he wears a headset on game days?
He's a minority partner.
He's a minority partner of the team. He's invested in the team. He wants a return on investment. Anything I know, maybe he'll end up being right during the offseason if they were to make those moves. But anything I know, there is no plans on him helping make any decisions. I mean, Tom Brady is spearheading decisions on quarterbacks and personnel and things like that. They've made that abundantly clear they have to because of his other jobs. But I think with Charles Woodson, he's taken his name off the wine and all the other stuff. But I think he is just a minority partner to try to get a good return on investment.
He is a non-controlling minority interest.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah.
That's
a hell of a way to put it. Where he wants a return. You're investing in an NFL team to make a return on your investment. $5 million, you're going to get a lot of back.
If you buy stock in Apple, you don't get to have a decision on iPhone 18.
Well, what he's saying is, but that's the desperation that's there. That's the stuff we used to do with Bernie, and I participated in that. I wanted him to have a front office role. I got so upset with this football team that I just got mad and said, absolutely, give him. He knows football, fine. Let's do a front office thing with Bernie. But I think that's a guy who's looking at a football guy where I don't think Charles Woodson has done anything in terms of, he knows probably a lot of people, but in far as looking for a general manager or anything like that, that's going to be other people probably doing that. They might ask him if he knows anything about a certain guy.
He has done pregame since he got out, doing network pregame shows, so that's where he's connected still to the NFL.
But I don't think it's anything more than seeing each other in a hallway before a Browns game at the suite level and like, hey, what do you think of this guy? Like that's as far as it would go.
Yeah.
I think we're just looking at football guys going, well, that guy could help. I've been that desperate before.
Maybe he can, but I think that is very much just desperation. You hope that somebody that played the game at a high level can help you win at a high level, even though there's no proof that he can.
Can I ask you one thing?
Way. You can ask me whatever you want.
Will Charles Woodson live here full time, or will he live most of the time in San Diego?
I don't know if it's going to be San Diego, but I don't think it's going to be Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Probably not San Diego. I mean, I don't know.
Where's the Wizard of Oz hood with him too?
Yeah, got to make sure.
Where is Charles Woodson living these days?
Wish I knew. I have no idea. In my hopes and dreams,
think he lives in Fremont.
Fremont?
You think?
I went to the Frickers there and I asked, "Have you seen Charles?" They said no.
Okay. We'll check down the street at the Shoney's. Coming up next, the same sad question of either or. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Danny in for Anthony, live on the Fan. KC Roofing.
3 pass plays on the goal line when we have Judkins, we have Sampson. But no, he puts Ford in the backfield who can't run anybody over. He runs straight up and is scared of contact. I would be calling him and firing him during this game right now. This is terrible.
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Danny in, Lima out, Lima back tomorrow. We were at Little Italy yesterday. It was a good time. Good time had by all. Well, except for a couple people, but a good time had by all.
The Columbus Day Parade. We're back, baby! We're back!
Columbus Day. We're back. Columbus Day, we're back, Italians.
Hey, paisanos! There was one guy I think overserved himself.
Only one?
He was like laid out in the street. Lima's father-in-law had an opinion. It was interesting. Yeah, I met up with Bernie.
How was that?
It was fun. It was fun. It was different.
Is that why I'm in today?
No. Well, Lima's wife's out of town, all the other stuff.
You could have lied and said, yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever. No,
and it's not the reason that people were saying early in the chat either.
No, it wasn't because he threw it drunk or anything like that. The day ended at 3 in the afternoon. At least, well, no, I left at 3 in the afternoon. I don't know what time he left. But I wasn't tying one on. I was a good boy. Lima, on the other hand, I mean, when the father-in-law, when the mom's away, the father-in-law will come to play. And that's what ended up happening. So I don't know what happened there. But I had a good time. Everybody seemed to be having a good time.
Good.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun being with his father-in-law.
I can imagine so.
It made me like Sarah Moore.
Really?
Yeah. Because I'm like, oh, okay, Bernie's a good dude. And I know her mom's wonderful. And Bernie, I was like, let's have fun, Bernie, his buddy. Woman grabbed my butt.
Whoa.
Yeah, there was a woman who did that.
Did you tell your wife about that?
We have older... I mean, she's a spicy Italian woman. She'll be an older woman one day. Maybe one day we'll be there, and she'll grab a nice young man's butt, and that'll be...
I remember, well, you did say this first.
Check my ass out. Yeah. Did it. She did it.
Because apparently I'm the bad boy.
I got a picture.
Pick him up on the offer.
So Lima's sister has a friend. They're married, and it was her and her wife. And the wife, who's Lima's sister's best friend growing up, she always wants a picture on my shoulders. And as she did the picture, we were at La Dolce Vita. An elderly woman got a feel.
Wait, so you had a woman on your shoulders?
Yeah.
While someone else grabbed
an
your
elderly
behind.
woman had a feeling. Yeah.
Did you drop the? Were you like startled by this?
No, I mean, because I
was
still able to hold. I was still able to hold up Lima's sister's
dangerous
best friend on my shoulders. Because if I'd have dropped her, I mean, it probably would have been
bad.
No, it would have been real bad.
Yeah, you're not a short guy. Like that's a far fall.
And I was standing on this thing where the bar is, so basically it would have been like Mankind going off Hell in the Cell. If I'd have dropped this woman, it would have been. It would have been 18.
Broken in half.
Scott is my witness. Terry Funk would have to run in there. He can't even do it. He's dead. What are we going to do, Danny? It was a good time, though. Good time. The woman who grabbed my ass was a very nice lady.
Did you catch up afterwards? Or was that? Did you catch up with her afterwards? Was that her introduction?
Well, yeah, I turned right around and go, who grabbed my ass? And like her grandson was like doing the... Like
her
doing
grandson.
the hiding point, the Dumb and Dumber point, where he's like blaming it on... Harry,
at least you've got this now. If Liz says anything, you just say Snoop Dogg, and then now you're even.
Fair enough. Fair enough. She got on the tour bus. She wasn't doing that on the tour bus.
She was on the tour bus?
Shut up, Danny. We're taking calls now.
I'm asking questions, Ken.
I don't run away from my takes, unlike you.
That's not that wasn't a take. I asked a simple question.
Where the hell are we going with these calls here? All right, Scott and Akron, go ahead. I don't know what any of these stand for. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, fellas.
Glad to have you. Go ahead.
I want to get back to what the late, great Danny Cunningham said a little earlier.
The late, great Danny Cunningham. Danny's not. Danny, you're dead too. I'm seeing dead people. Gotta hurry up. We're almost out of time. Go, Scott. Gotta go.
Hey, what if we were all wrong? What if Shador is Stefanski's guy all along? And he was putting Dylan in not the best chance to succeed? Just stick it to Andrew Barry.
This isn't Bash to the Beach 96, Scott. Todd and Akron, gotta go quick. Go.
Stefanski needs to go. If he got a problem with his
First got to say that all day.
I am surprised by that.
For the Browns.
Well, Todd, you're breaking up. Thank you very much for the call. Guys, all I'm trying to say is, are you going to claim this take or not, Danny? If you say all these people agree with you,
yeah.
Okay, then you and everybody else is flat out wrong. There's no way Kevin Stefanski's going to do something that petty as the head coach of a professional football team.
I can't say
others would. He's not. When has he done it before, Danny?
You don't think that
just
last game
losing
Baker played?
Basically on purpose?
You don't think that last game Baker played was that?
No,
I do. I absolutely do.
Why would he try to make Baker look bad?
Because Baker made him look bad all year.
I don't agree with you.
I do.
Flat out. No. I wish you were in tomorrow because I want to have that argument.
I got to sleep in tomorrow, man.
We are back tomorrow, 6 to 10. Lima is back in. We will have a discussion about Columbus Day and the whole thing. Sure, we will. For Mitch, for Owen, for Danny, for Jeff, for the Slippery Wizard, Anthony Lima, I'm Ken Carman. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Go Cavs! Big game tonight. Big preseason game tonight. Go Cavs!
As a risk or a chance. This is the end of my silly little rap. Thank you for paying attention and making sure that you're not booing, but you clap.
Hey, sounds good. Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Loser town, loser fans, and you guys are a loser show.